what caliber of handgun should you be carrying for self-defense? If you're a conceal and carry person, if your state has it to where you can conceal and carry without having to have the permit, that is fantastic. But a lot of people think bigger is better. Bigger up to a certain point is better when it comes to this, because there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind with this. One of those things being, you have to keep in mind is that you are responsible for every bullet that comes out of your gun. Well, what does that mean? It means if you fire a round into somebody, but you're using a huge caliber pistol in a self-defense situation and the bullet goes through them and hits another bystander, you're still going to prison for either attempted murder or at least negligence at that point. So you have to keep this stuff in mind whenever you're selecting your caliber. Now, let's get into some of these calibers. Number one, the 22 caliber. Now, a 22 is something a lot of people argue with, just like what I've talked about in previous videos, that a 22 is not really enough in a self-defense situation. It is, and yet it isn't. It depends on what you need. But what you want is enough stopping power. What does that mean? You want enough stopping power to where the person attacking you, even if it does not take them out altogether, it decommissions them to where they can no longer further harm you or harm anybody else that may be with you that you're trying to defend at this point. 22s are a great beginner handgun to have, to go to the range practice with. If you're trying to get used to kick, if you're somebody that can't handle a lot of kickback whenever you are firing your pistol, 22s are fantastic to train with up to a certain point. That is the other thing. You should be training with what you are going to carry. So if you're going to carry a 40 S&W, then you should be training with the 40 rounds. Or if you're going to carry a 45, or vice versa, and you should be training with the exact gun that you're going to carry. Now, can you switch? Absolutely, you can switch. The next one I want to talk about, though, is a very common one, is the one I have on right here, is a 9mm. 9mm is the most common type of round that you're going to find among gun people who conceal and carry, and all things like that. This is a M&P 9 shield. This is the perfect size for a conceal and carry gun. I did another video on this, what makes this gun kind of stand out from others. I put it up against a Glock, but I'm not going to talk about that a lot in this video. Again, this video is about the calibers. 9mm is the one that I really recommend for beginners. If you're going to carry, then a 9mm is great. The ammo is very affordable. Firearms themselves are very affordable, and you have a lot of options, and because it's so readily available, you can afford to actually train with it. 9mm are great. They have quite a bit of stopping power if you're in a self-defense type situation. However, they also have another deal of, they are a small enough round that you have to be careful of where you're actually hitting. Shot placement's always king, but if you're really stressed out and everything's happening fast, you're not going to really have time to take aim. But if you're that close to somebody, you really don't have to aim anyway. I'm going to make another video on that in the future. 9mm though, fantastic round, very affordable. Next one I want to talk about is the 40 round. And you'll hear 40 S&W, or you'll hear the Glock 40. 40's a 40. The ammo's the same. 40s are great. In fact, I have a guy that I used to work with who was in the Border Patrol for 40 years, or not for 40 years. He was in the Border Patrol for 20 years, but they carried 40s. They carried the Glock 40s because that's what they issued them. Well, they are fantastic firearms. They actually upgraded from a 9mm because they didn't have quite enough amp for what they were doing. So that's the gun that they issued them, was a 40, and that's what they carry. And that's what the U.S. Marshal Service is issued, and that's what some other agencies are issued. Now, other agencies are issued different things, but the 40 is very common among them. The ammo is going to cost you more than a 9mm, and obviously quite a bit more than a 22, but you do add in some more stopping power. So a 40 round is something else to think about. 45 ACP, not to be confused with the 45 Long Colt. .45 ACP, stepping up a little more. That is one of my preferred ones. Something else to be said about this, though. If you're going to carry hollow points, because again, if your bullet goes through somebody, you are responsible for that as well. So hollow points, they'll hit and they'll mushroom out, so, and they'll open up more, so that way they are a better self-defense round. But the .45 ACP, the problem with these guns is they're usually on the heavier side. The rounds themselves are pretty affordable. The last time I bought some .45 ACP rounds, they were about $30 a box is what I normally shoot, the kind of brand I shoot. But again, it's a very popular pistol. The rounds are readily available all across the board. Moving up, you can get into the revolvers, the .357 Magnum. The .357 Magnum is a good choice as well. They also make hollow point rounds of those. Fantastic firearm. That's what a lot of police officers used to carry back when they used to carry revolvers, the .357 Magnum revolvers. They do make semi-automatic .357s. The revolvers are the most common in this brand. Smith & Wesson make a fantastic .357 revolver. Kimber makes .357s. There's all kinds of .357s out there. Taurus makes a completely stainless steel 7-shot revolver. But they are extremely accurate and they are extremely versatile. Now, you do only have 6 shots, but if you need it and have it, 6 shots, you can have the speed reloaders, and even if you're only carrying two of those speed reloaders and there's 2 little cartridges, then that'll give you 12 more shots, or if you're carrying the other one, it'll give you 14 more shots. And if you're that close, most shootings are done, self-defense shootings are done in 2 shots or less. So that is really a good statistic to have. So carrying, you don't need a 30-round magazine, but at the same time, it does help to have those extra rounds because you never know what you may get into. So that's the .357. Now, we're going to step up to the .44 Magnum. What old Dirty Harry carried. Make my day, you know. Do you feel lucky, punk? That style. Those of you that don't know what that is, it was a Clint Eastwood series. Or it was multiple movies with Clint Eastwood playing Dirty Harry, the detective in the San Francisco Police Department. Carried a .44 Magnum, which he says at that time is accurate. It's the most powerful handgun in the entire world. .44 Magnums, they are something that you're getting into the calibers now that are so big that they're almost impractical to carry, and they're such a big firearm themselves that they're almost impractical to carry completely, and they weigh so much. That's the other thing. Having a firearm that weighs as much as some of these higher-end calibers do, because they have to compensate for the recoil on these, is really something that you guys really need to think about, too, before you go out and buy your self-defense firearm. Or if you're buying your next one and you're really new to this, weight plays a big factor, because you may think, well, it's not that heavy. Well, it's not that heavy yet, but if you're carrying it around all day, it does get heavy. And you want something that's a little easier to conceal, especially if you got the conceal and carry. You might have an open carry state as well. It's up to you if that's the case, or you can go and get the enhanced carry, which allows you to carry openly or concealed, either one. .44 Magnums, though, a little bit overkill for what I would carry, and you're really risking the round going through somebody at that point, to where, again, it's you're going to really be on the line, especially if it's self-defense, which you should only use deadly force and self-defense if your life or somebody else's life is in danger that's with you. But at this point, the .44 round goes through that person and hits a bystander again. You're going to prison, at least for negligence, and maybe even for attempted murder at that point. So you just have to be very careful, and this is why carrying these big rounds. Something else I want to jump into, though, is the 10 millimeter. A lot of people think a 10 isn't that much bigger than a 9 because of the way it sounds. The 10 millimeter is way bigger than 9. In fact, it's actually recommended for bear country, much like some of these other firearms I'm going to talk about a little bit later in this video. It's actually recommended for bear country. It's actually a high stopper, and that thing would go through somebody if you're using it. It's definitely made for more for the deal of if you're hiking out in the wilderness and you need something to take down a large predator. That's what it's made for. 10 millimeter is a pretty new caliber. There's not a lot known about them yet. They've been around for a handful of years already, but they just aren't. There's not a lot known about the particular caliber, and there's not a lot known yet about what could go wrong with them because they haven't been around quite long enough. And the ammo is going to cost you a lot more than your standard rounds because they're not as common and because not as many people have them. So keep that in mind for the 10 millimeter. Going to the extreme end, and guys, I'm just talking about in this video, I'm just talking about standardized calibers that a lot of people wonder about. I know there's calibers in between that I missed. I do want to talk about the 45 long Colt, since I did talk about the 45 ACP. The 45 long Colt, the old cowboy caliber they call it. It is something, the rounds cost more than 45 ACP. The rounds are longer. I don't really see a big difference in the power of the rounds. The 45, to me, the 45 ACP, being a short round, for some reason, it seems like it's more accurate. Whatever, I'm out shooting at targets and stuff. The 45 ACP, though, compared to the 45 long Colt. The 45 long Colt, again, is the cowboy gun. That's what you see. Most of the old 6 guns in the old Westerns are the 45 long Colts. A lot of power. You do have a risk of it going through somebody again, but at the same time, it's a balance. You're only gonna find those either in Henry lever action rifles, or there's other lever action rifles that aren't made by Henry that also shoot that. But it's the same thing with the 44 Magnum, the 357. They all make a rifle that shoots those. But of course, you're not going to be using a rifle to conceal and carry. I just want to throw that out there for you guys that may be curious if you're thinking about getting a rifle as well. You can have your pistol and your rifle in the same caliber if you want, which would come in handy all later down the road. 45 long Colt, though, very basic round, very expensive round, though. You're talking about $1 plus a round, usually, if you can find them. So they're very expensive, and they are very hard to find. Sometimes down here at Bass Pro, they only have like 2 boxes on the shelf at any given point, if they even get any in. They're very, very rare. Bass Pro's price is actually a lot cheaper than some of the places around, because you can get them for $1 around there. Some of these other places are pushing $2 around for them right now. The next one I want to talk about is the 500 S&W. Now, this thing, I shouldn't really be putting this on the list, but I do, because I love these types of firearms. It was the bear killer. It was made for bear country. It was made for, you're hiking up in the Rockies and you encounter a grizzly to stop that. You're not going to be carrying this for self-defense. You're not going to be using it as a home defense weapon, because if you do, it's going to go through your wall, through 5 trees, and then through your neighbor's shed, and then through their, house over there as well. So it is extremely powerful. They're packing a lot of grains in each one. Extremely expensive to shoot. You're looking at an average of about $3 per round to shoot it. And extremely impractical, and most of them have a barrel on them that's about that long. So or you can get the shorter version of that, but you have to remember, again, and the guns are extremely expensive. That gun is $1,800 on its own. $1,800, guys. So not practical. The rounds are not practical, but it is good if you're going hiking in bear country. So if you're somebody that loves going backpacking and you think you're going to be out there in the wilderness and you might encounter, I don't know, a bear, Bigfoot, aliens, whatever you think you might encounter out there, a 500 S&W could be the gun for you. Yeah, I do not have one because I just can't justify spending that kind of money on something right now for that kind of deal. But $1,800, guys, is what that would cost. So I've talked about a lot of the calibers in this video. I've gone over 22s, I've gone over 9mm, I've gone over 357s, I've gone over the 45 ACP, the 45 long Colt, I've gone over the 10mm, I've gone over the 44 Magnums, I've gone over every caliber that's pretty commonly known to mankind on the basic spectrum. Now, there are calibers out there that I didn't talk about, but those are a little bit unreal. I do want to talk about this real quick, though. 380 ACP, just a 9mm, a shorter round. You're better off having a 9mm. I have a 380 ECP. Not exactly ideal. Mine's a 6-seer P365, but it's not ideal. The rounds cost you so much more just because it's the same thing as a 9mm, just a short round. You're buying the same thing as a 9mm for the gun itself is going to cost about the same, but the rounds cost more just because they're not as common. I mean, you're looking at probably about a 30% increase in what you're going to pay for 380 rounds compared to the 9mm. Now, are they a fun little gun to have? Yes. To me, 9mm don't kick that bad, but a 380 ACP kicks even less. So it's just one of those things to keep in mind, though, guys. I've talked about a lot of calibers in this video. I had to throw that one in there as well, though. Those are all the basic calibers that everybody's probably thinking about, or like looking at, that is never bought a gun or is really new to it and they're thinking about buying their next one. I will say that if you're looking for quality, try to avoid High Point. There's nothing wrong with High Point. The cheap price gets a lot of people. They are decent for what they are, but they're not something that I would recommend you carrying that you're going to put your life in if you ever have to use it for self-defense. So that being said, which of these calibers do you think would be more ideal for you? I mean, I've talked about everything from 22 to a 500 S&W and everything in between that's basic on that spectrum. God bless each and every one. I want to talk about the poor man's Glock, or the Taurus G3 9mm, as a lot of people refer to it as. This fine little weapon right here has the same specs as a Glock 19. Now, I will say this, not reliable as a Glock, but if you're poor, like I am, that's kind of what you need, is something that's similar, but not the same. This little beauty right here only is going to run you about $300 if you find it the right spot. Probably closer to about $400, depending on your shop or what you're going to do. Now, a big thing that you have to remember again, guys, this is not a Glock. This is a Taurus G3 9mm, based on the Glock 19. I have friends who we've paired them. They are the exact same size. It does have the rail up front so you can mount your laser and your lights. There's not much to say about this fine little weapon, because if you have a Glock 19, then this is pretty much it. Taurus is made in Bainbridge, Georgia, is where Taurus is made, and that's where this little fine number was actually stamped out at. G3 9x19, as I said that, and that's just standard for the ammo and everything in between. Taurus Arms is also made in Brazil. It does have the steel frame, polymer grips. I'm telling you guys, it's so similar to a Glock 19 that it's almost insane that that more people don't buy these. Now, there's a lot of mixed reviews on these out there. A lot of people hate them. A lot of people love them. A lot of people are kind of average Joe about them. I'm on the upper end about this. I have never been able to justify really buying a Glock. I have friends have shot Glocks. Not really something. I grew up a lot more on revolvers. Semi-automatics came along a little bit later in my life, but now I have several of these. Now, the big thing that you got to remember, though, too, is when it comes to buying a firearm, pricing is going to determine, where are you buying it from? Are they running a special? Do they have overstock? Look for those types of things if you're going to be interested in buying something like this G3, because you may be able to get it even cheaper. Whereas Glocks are so popular and they sell so many of them, you're not going to be able to just walk in and get a good deal on one. Now, there is a lot to be said about that as well. Glocks are highly reliable, and I'm not telling you to buy this over a Glock. I'm just saying if you have some spare cash laying around and you were thinking, well, I already own a Glock and I may want to buy something else, the Taurus G3 9 could be a nice little weapon to add to your collection. Now, the big thing is I'm going to be doing a review further on this fine little pistol right here in the future. Now, the big thing that I also have to mention is that we'll be comparing this side by side with the Glock 19, and I'm going to tell you guys already, the Glock 19 is going to be more reliable. Glocks are known for being highly reliable. However, their price point scares a lot of people away. So I'm telling you guys about this. That's why I call it the poor man's Glock. So you just have to really Find what fits you, what's best for you. If you want to buy a G3, fine. If you want to buy a Glock, fine. I'm not here to tell you guys what to do. You go out and buy what you want to buy. But I'm just saying, if you want to save a few dollars, and that's what I'm going to start doing a lot more videos on the channel, is the cheaper versions of things. May not be quite as high quality, but it's going to save you quite a few dollars in the long run. God bless each and every one of you. We're diving into the world of firearms. And as we compare these firearms today, we're going to be looking at two of the best. The iconic rifles that I'm talking about are the Remington Model 7400 30-06 and the Marlin 30-30. The Remington Model 7400 30-06 and the Marlin 30-30. So get ready for this epic comparison of a showdown between these two weapons of precision and accuracy and some great firepower. So let's jump right in. All right, so let's start off by introducing these contenders the right way. So in the right corner, we have the Marlin 30-30. Its features include its lever action, great for wooded areas. And in the left corner, we have the 7400 30-06. This is one of the most ideal firearms for taking down larger game, and we're going to talk about that throughout this video. Now, the Marlin 30-30 is a great rifle, but I want to start off by talking about that Model 7400 Remington 30-06. Known for its versatility and its raw power, this is a great rifle for hunting big game. It is one of the best rifles that you will ever see. Now, on the other hand, the Marlin 30-30 is a classic lever action rifle, and it's brings a lot of unique things to the table itself. It has been a favorite among hunters for decades. Now, with all that being said, let's think about this for a second, guys. Hunters have been out there. A 30-30 is a very common hunting round. So is the 30-06. A lot of people prefer the 30-06 because it has a lot more takedown power. A lot of people prefer the 30-30 because they make great brush guns. It really depends on where you are hunting at. Now, let's jump into some other things about these rifles. When it comes to power, both of these rifles pack a punch, and that is very true. Shooting both of these, you do feel that they kick. However, you feel more with the 30-06 because you can feel that. A 30-06 also works well for areas. If you're going to have to shoot out further distances, you'd want the 30-06. 30-06s are great for things such as hunting elk, hunting bear. Now, but not my first choice. I would still prefer a more higher powered rifle. But if you're hunting in very condensed areas, heavy wooded areas, such as here in the Ozark Mountains, a 30-30 is great. I shot 3 deer. The first 3 deer I ever shot was with this Marlin 30-30 I'm holding right here. They make a fantastic rifle. They're on the lighter side, so they make a pretty good youth gun. They're not incredibly large either, which makes them really easy to swing around if you have to in a hurry. It's very unique, and that lever action makes it pretty easy for follow-up shots. Now, when it comes to that raw power side of things, though, you have to really appreciate the 30-06 for its ability to hunt the larger game, just like what I was talking about a while ago. This particular, the 7400 model, I get asked a lot of times because a lot of people own the 740 model. They're made in different years, and they are different. I don't know a lot about the 740s because I don't own one personally. But the 7400 30-06, just like the one I own right here, is a fantastic deer gun. And again, it could be used for bear. But again, going bear hunting, I still prefer something a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. A 300 Win Mag to me works better. A 7mm even somehow, for some reason, works better than this 30-06 would in those kinds of conditions. Now, due to its maneuverability of shots, the 30-30, just like what I was saying, is really more ideal if you're wanting to be able to adjust the targets a little bit faster. here and there. There's something about that, like a lever action behind that. But semi-automatic. The 7400 is a semi-automatic rifle. Now, a lot of people don't like semi-automatics for the simple reason that they do tend to jam up. And I have had that happen. They jam up because of the automatic chambering cycle on them. And for those of you guys that don't know what a semi-automatic rifle is, you pull the trigger, it fires. You pull the trigger again, it fires again. A lot of people get semi-auto confused when people say, because all I hear is the auto part, they think it means that it's fully automatic and just hold down the trigger and go bang, 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 bang. That's not the way it works. You gotta, one squeeze equals one shot. Think about it that way whenever somebody says semi-auto. Now, you do have to be very careful. I've seen a lot of people make this mistake of overloading the magazine. That is a good thing about the 7400 model, is it does have a great magazine capacity. It's not a large magazine capacity, but the magazines themselves tend to be very good. Now, you do have to be careful with these because they are a metal magazine. This is not a clip, guys. It is a magazine. Don't say a clip. That sounds ridiculous. I mean, it's not something that you're putting on a bag of chips or in your hair. It is not a clip. It is a magazine. So, basically, don't put over 3 rounds in this. If you have a higher rated magazine, fine. But this is a standard one that comes with these rifles. This is the thing that a lot of people tend to not think about, is the fact that a lot of people don't like semi-automatic rifles for that purpose, because the magazine is something else they got to keep up with. Now, if you have multiple magazines and you're out there hunting, it does make for faster reloads than, say, the Marlin 3030 right here that has the side gate feed for the lever action right there. However, you really have to think about what you're doing. If you're out there hunting, do you really need fast follow-up shots? And if you do, semi-automatic's going to be fine. A lot of people don't give lever actions enough credit of being fast at follow-up shots. These particular rifles, though, each have their own unique characteristics, and really at the end of the day, they're both worth owning. So with that being said, and it really depends on what you grew up with, is what I find with a lot of firearms people. There's a lot of people that grew up with these. There's a lot of people that grew up with a revolver. There's people that grew up on Glock, so they prefer a Glock. I will say this, guys. What you grew up with may not be the best thing. A lot of people get in this habit because it's what their parents owned. It's what they've owned forever. It's what they do. And opinions vary, but at the end of the day, and there's people out there that say, you can't trust the reviews that you read on anything, because if you see like 3 bad reviews and there's like 1,000 reviews on there and only 3 of them are bad, yes, guys, you're going to get defective rifles out of the factory if you buy them from a store. They're not going to be tested, so you have to fit it on your own. However, there's some companies out there that are really great about replacing the rifle for you. If you do need one replaced, guys, do not go to the store. You got to contact the manufacturer, and they will be the ones to make it right for you, because they don't want their name getting smeared, so they will take care of it for you. And yeah, you got to remember that these are mass produced the same way that every other thing is. Now, the model 7400 is not mass produced. It's no longer in service, but this particular rifle is highly popular. It's one that a lot of people own. It's one that a lot of people like. Now, are they cheap to pick up? You can pick up a used one now for about $650, depending on where they are, because they're all going to be used, because they don't make this particular model anymore. But you can buy things that are similar. However, a lot of things that you're going to find now are bolt actions. That is something that a lot of people... I am not a big fan of a bolt action. I've never had very good luck with bolt actions. I still prefer the semi-auto. The thing about a semi-auto is, guys, you do have to make sure that you are cleaning it very often to make sure that semi-auto does not jam up on you. And even then, there's no guarantees that it won't, but keeping a clean gun is the only way to prevent that, and that's the truth about any rifles. And guys, obviously, for all of you young people out there who haven't been through a hunter safety course yet, guys, obviously follow the basic steps. Do not ever point a rifle or a firearm or a pistol or anything at anybody unless if your life's in severe danger. And even if you're out there hunting, the basic common sense will get you a long ways. Do not shoot at anything that you cannot clearly see. There was a young boy years ago, back down in Louisiana. He's a 14-year-old boy. This was before I was born, but this story haunts me till this day, and I've been out there to his grave a lot. Because I'm originally from a small town in Louisiana called Winfield, but it haunts me to this day. And I wasn't even alive back when this happened, but a lady was out there hunting, and she got careless and she shot at some moving bushes, and she killed that boy and stuff. And now she's in prison for the rest of her life because of that. So guys, you don't fire at anything until you can clearly see what you are shooting at. I have to put that in this video. It's sad that stuff like that happens, but it just goes to show you got to be careful. And a lot of accidents happen to people that are highly experienced in handling firearms. Accidents can still happen to anybody. So that's why you have to be really careful about what you're doing. At the end of the day, though, guys, it is what it is. So, guys, at the end of the day, the Remington Model 7400 30-06 and the Marlin 30-30 lever action. Now, the one thing I want to end with here on the 30-30 lever action, I'm a big lever action fan, big fan of the Rifleman. The thing that you'll find on this particular rifle, you can see it right there, the lever's not very big. So if you have bigger hands like I do, it may not be quite ideal. The other thing about this rifle is that the hammer on it is actually set up for somebody that's actually more of a left-handed person, because it's on that side. And because of the way that the scope goes along the bottom of it right there, you can see it right there, makes it a little tricky whenever you get it pulled back there, getting that hammer back down. So you got to be careful along that side. I've never had it accidentally misfire because I'm always super careful about that, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're going to do it. Really, the scope on it, really the lower the scope is on rifle, the better, because you're going to be a little bit more accurate, but you can always compensate for that. Really though, if you compare these side by side, 30-06 has a higher rise scope on it because of the bracket. If you look at this one, it doesn't set up quite as high off of the rifle. So those are things to keep in mind, and that is the brackets. 30-06, you can tell though, it's the scope mounts itself that sits up higher. At the end of the day, both of these firearms are fantastic firearms to own, and if you don't own these two, guys, I would recommend, if you can, you go out and pick them up, so you got two fine rifles added to your collection. Just keep in mind though, guys, if you can, test fire anything before you buy it, especially buying like a 7400, because they're going to be used, and that semi-auto can be bad if somebody has not taken care of it. God bless each and every one. 30-06 might just be the most ideal caliber that you can have in your entire arsenal, entire collection. Ideal for things such as deer hunting, ideal for self-defense, impossible scenarios, shit hitting the fan stuff, things that could be happening very soon. World War III could be around a corner, could be coming to our soil. So why a 30-06 could be your savior in these times. Now, I don't mean to say that as in your savior like Jesus. I mean, Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior. However, a firearm that could save your life one day is what I mean in the context of that. Had to clarify that. But a 30-06, guys. 30-06 is something that really a lot of people underestimate the power of. It's a highly popular caliber. It fires this cartridge right there for any of you guys that have never seen that. It's a pretty good size cartridge itself. And you can get them in varying grains, anywhere from like 150 grain, 200 grains. You can get special loads, 300 grains. You can do about anything you want to with it. They are ideal for shooting long distances. And guys, the term sniper rifle, people will sometimes refer to a 30-06 as being a sniper rifle. Here's the thing. There's no such thing as a sniper rifle. A sniper in the term can be used in all kinds of different calibers. They can use 6.5s, they can use 308s, they can use anything that they really need to use for the particular deal. So a sniper rifle, it's a sniper's rifle that they use, but it's not actually a sniper rifle, and that's something that I wish a lot of people would learn, is that there's no such thing as an actual sniper rifle. It's a rifle that a sniper uses. That does not make it a sniper rifle like everybody tries to make it out to be. Yes, they use it, but that does not mean that that is what it's categorized as. So 30-06 though, ideal for a multi different things. Great for hunting, guys. You can go grizzly hunting with it. People hunt elk with them. A little bit underpowered for what I would consider hunting like a grizzly bear with, but you can hunt brown bear, black bear, and smaller species of bear and be just fine with that. I would prefer something with a little bit more kick if I was going to actually go take this particular rifle bear hunting. Some of you are probably thinking, yes, this is a 30-06. It's a Remington Model 7400. It's semi-automatic. Now, a lot of people have their preferences whenever it comes to rifles. They like lever action, bolt action, and guys, in case you didn't know, they do make a lever action 30-06. This 7400 model right here made by Remington is actually a semi-automatic. I'm not a big fan of bolt action rifles. I've never had very good fortune with bolt actions. A lot of people have preferences, and a lot of you may be thinking, well, semi-auto is jammed on me, this has happened, that has happened, this and that and that and this. Well, here's the thing. We all have our preferences, and there's a reason behind that. Everybody has an opinion on something, even though 99% of the time the opinions are wrong, because it's just because that you had good luck with this. It's like Chevy, Ford, Dodge, whatever you prefer driving, is because you probably had a bad taste in your mouth from something that has happened in the past. Same thing qualifies with rifles, same thing just as in life. 30-06, ideal caliber rifle for a lot of things, guys. It is, again, just like what I mentioned earlier, great for hunting. It's great for self-defense, even if you have to use it. It's not just so overpowering. I mean, if you had to, and I mean, if it was a serious situation and you had to turn this rifle, it's shorter. And these rifles are designed on a certain spec that, yes, at a close distance, you could, in fact, actually defend yourself with this. Now, it wouldn't be the first ideal thing. Obviously, an AR-15, 5.56, 308. Something like that is going to be way more beneficial to you if you're going to be in those short-term self-defense situations. Affordability of the ammo, though, is a big thing with 30-06. It's a thing that a lot of people don't think about. I mean, you can get 20 of these right here, the federal rounds. You can buy 20 of these for about $25 now. It's something that the ammo prices change constantly, and yeah, you can find cheaper ammo out there and stuff, though. It's going to cost you more than a 30-30, but less than a 308 round, and that's what's crazy to me is the last time I checked the store for 308 rounds, they are, even the NATO rounds have went up from what they used to be. So 30-06 is going to be a great round to my knowledge. I've never heard of a shortage of 30-06 rounds. They're easy to reload too, so they're great on that aspect of things. 30-06 though, guys, is the caliber. Now, I'm not telling you, if you prefer a 308, if you have those other calibers, by all means, keep those. Keep whatever you have the ammo to use. Keep the rifles that you prefer. I'm not telling you to go out and buy a 30-06. I'm not endorsed by any of these companies. I'm not endorsed by Remington. I'm not endorsed by any of them. I'm just a guy, and I have in the past owned 308 rifles and everything else in between. So I'm just saying, from my experience, the 30-06 is the best all-around option. Now, that may not mean it's the best option for you. Big thing about 30-06 rifles is the hunting ground. Really, here in the Ozark Mountains, where we live for deer, it's really too much. So if you live in that kind of terrain, because we're not even going to be shooting out to 50 yards a lot of the time. So 30-30s do really great around here, especially being a brush gun. But if you're somebody that wants to really reach, I'd have confidence in this, hitting the deer out at 500 yards. Now, you have to keep in mind, though, that when you're shooting out at that distance, it is going to lose quite a bit of power. If you are going to be shooting at a far distance, I would recommend you go get a 6.5 Creedmoor. The bullet is smaller, but it travels so fast at such a high velocity that it's way easier to aim with at those further distances. Now, again, guys, This video is about 30-06 rounds, affordable 30-06 rifles. This one right here, they don't make this 7400 model anymore. They don't make a lot of those old models anymore, because there's actually a 740 model, and then there's the 7400 model, and then there's all kinds of other models in between. And really, at the end of the day, it's up to you, the preference that you like, the preference that you want. I'm just a 30-06 guy. They seem to do everything I needed to do. If you need more rifle, by all means, go out and buy it. If you need less, then go out and do that. But it's just a great intermediate rifle for all walks of life. God bless each and every one. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the M&P 9 Shield, a 9mm made by Smith & Wesson. A phenomenal firearm. It's my personal favorite conceal and carry gun. I would put it up against any of the compact Glocks that you can buy, and this is it right here. I'm going to start off by saying, though, what I really love about the Smith & Wesson line of guns, and this particular one right here, the M&P 9 Shield, is its compact size and how easy it is to add accessories onto it if you want to. I put this back here to make the slide way easier to pull back. That slide grip makes it way easier to pull back. There's something about this particular gun that was extremely difficult, though, whenever I bought it, number one, to get that slide to pull back. But having that grip back there, you just take it, snatch it, it'll come back, and then boom, it'll go forward. The other thing I added onto the front of this gun was the rail. So between these two things, it's about $60 worth of add-ons, which really is not bad. And then I could add a light or a laser or whatever I wanted to add to the front of it, and then this back here really helps. Now, you got to keep in mind, whenever you're going to add accessories on anything, though, if you're using a holster that doesn't have any room in it or is not certain to what you were wanting to put on the gun, then you're probably going to have to end up upgrading holsters. So be sure that you take that into account before you start adding a lot of accessories onto these particular firearms or any other firearms you own. This gun here is highly accurate. I would put this up against any Glock or anything any day of the week. Now, I will say I've never had this gun jam. Of course, now that I've said that, it probably will the next time I'm at the range with it. But you got to understand, Glock has a reputation of being reliable, but the MP9, though, I've not had any trouble out of this either. A thing that a lot of people forget, it's just like driving a vehicle. If you take care of it, and if you do the maintenance on it, then it'll take care of you. It'll last for a long time, and it's just the way it is. I did routine maintenance on my truck. I've changed out the oil, did the transmission, and it's got over 200,000 miles on it now, and it's still running like a champ. So, same thing with firearms. If you oil them, if you clean them, you know when you need to do that. And yes, there are certain times that you should be cleaning them, but people can get into their own habits. So as long as you're cleaning them often enough, that really is good enough. Now, some firearms are a little pickier about not being clean. They won't be able to function as well or at all without being extremely clean. This is not one of those firearms, though. The MP 9 Shield, this one right here, what I like about it is it's big enough that you're not going to blow your fingers off with it. It's very beginner friendly. But it's also heavy enough and compact enough that you can conceal and carry with it. And you cannot feel that you're firing this gun. Again, it's chambered in 9mm. So, but the weight on this thing, it's polymer with that steel slide up there. You cannot feel that you're firing this gun whenever you're firing it. It is one of those things that I like. I can take a lot of kick, but it's one of those things too. If you have a firearm that's heavy enough that will counteract that kick, why not? You can shoot a lot more if you're going out, you're practicing, training, whatever you're doing. You can shoot it a lot more, and it's not going to hurt your wrist as much. And that's something I really like about this. Now, they do make a lot of variations of these. They actually make these out of the factory now, but actually have the laser and the flashlight attachment already on them, and the switch is there. This was one that did not have that, because at the time I did not want that, and I prefer being able to add this and then I could take it on and off. You could do the same thing with that, but because that came factory standard on it, it did cost more. I prefer having a preference of what I'm adding to my firearms. So all in all, this M&P 9 is one of the firearms I would really recommend to anybody out there that's looking for a good conceal gun. They're going to cost you quite a bit. The price range is not as high as a Glock. It's closer to that price range has been on probably any other firearm that I've ever looked at that has been similar to that. However, if you want to buy a Glock, go buy a Glock. But this will save you some money at the end of the day. And you got this Smith & Wesson, and they've been in business for a long time, so they know what they're doing, and you're not going to be disappointed if you buy one. And I did want to discuss, because I had somebody say one time, well, Smith & Wesson came out and said that they're anti-Second Amendment. Why would a gun manufacturer come out and say that they're anti-Second Amendment? Their business relies on people buying firearms and having firearms. So I wanted to put this to rest too. There was two guys. One had the last name Smith and the other one had the last name of Wesson. And typical news article stuff, they put it in there saying Smith & Wesson says they're anti-Second Amendment. Well, these were just two guys in some big city somewhere that just happened to have names. So then the news put it together to create a mass panic and probably try to hurt Smith & Wesson's sales, which, again, if it's a gun manufacturing company and all their sales are derived off of their firearms, they're not going to be anti-Second Amendment. This is where I wish people would really think. I just had to throw that in there in this video because there's been a lot of mass confusion on that, and there's still a lot of mass confusion on that to this day. And as always, not everybody's going to like the same thing. If you have a gun store near you, there are some that will allow you to rent calibers, and they will go and they will allow you to rent the gun that you want from them. You got to fire it out there on the range though, and then buy the ammo from them, and they have every caliber that you want. So if you're not for sure that you may want this gun, or if you want something bigger, now beware of that too. Don't buy something that's too big. And I talk about that in my other video about some of the laws and things, because you are responsible at the end of the day for every bullet that comes out of your firearm. So just keep that in mind too. That's why a 9mm is very beginner friendly. And that's why, again, I would recommend this to anybody that is looking to get into firearms, or if you're looking to add one to your collection. Great gun to add in your collection. I take this gun hiking. I take it camping. I've never had any problems out of it. It does have a magazine capacity, though, that of 8. You can buy some magazines that are bigger for it, but that 8 round is the standard that came with this one. So keep that in mind as well. So it's got the same magazine capacity as a 1911. But at the same time, that 9mm ammo is way cheaper. Now, yeah, they make calibers about everything anymore. I mean, they make a 9mm revolver now. But just keep that in mind. 9mm is your cheapest ammo to shoot. If you're going to train and practice, if you're a new beginner, I would really recommend that this be the gun, or a gun like this. Chambered 9mm. I'm not saying you have to go out and buy a Smith & Wesson, but if you buy a new handgun, buy one chambered at 9mm. So, to conclude, this gun right here is one of the best ones I've ever owned. Never had any problems out of it. Again, I do all the maintenance on it. And the only problem that I would say is that it probably doesn't have a high enough magazine capacity for things. But then again, it's 8 rounds. If you're getting yourself into situations where you need more than 8 rounds for self-defense, you're probably in an area that you shouldn't have been in the first place. So, always mind your surroundings. God bless each and every video. The big question: which one is better, semi-automatic or a revolver, a 9mm or a 357? So in today's video, that's what we're going to discuss. First off, I just want to say this is all geared towards what I have experienced with a semi-automatic or a revolver and the different calibers and what I've experienced in the past. I've shot quite a few firearms in my time, and it's one of those things that until you probably go out and try out different things, and not everybody is going to like the same thing. But I want to start off with what I think the revolver is a good option for anybody, new, old, gun owners, anybody in between. A revolver is highly reliable, for one thing. That hammer-fired mechanism on a revolver just makes it highly reliable. The other thing is, like the revolver in my hand right now is double action. Well, what does double action mean? Double action means that if I pull down on this trigger right now, it would go off, it would fire. And you can just continue doing that. So it's very similar to a semi-automatic in that regard. But a double action trigger is usually a lot softer of a pull. So if you pull back on the hammer, be very careful where your finger is on that trigger, because it doesn't take much to cause, it takes less pressure to cause a double action with the hammer pull back to go off than it does with a single action with the hammer pull back. What does a single action mean? Since I just explained what a double action is, for those of you who aren't too familiar with firearms, I just want to say a single action is where you have to pull back the hammer every time. You pull it back, you fire, you got to pull back the hammer again, just like the old cowboy guns. So, where does it stand among all the other firearms? Is it practical in the modern day? Yes, if you are going to conceal and carry, or just be somebody that's going through the woods, a revolver is very good, or it's a good home defense weapon as well. Now, there's a reason that the police have moved away from these, because they do not have the high ammo capacity of something that is magazine fed, to where a Glock or a Taurus G3 or 2 or any of those Taurus models that are based off of the Glock, to where they can hold a standard of 15 rounds and they're a lot faster to reload. And that's what I want to get into now. Is this is a Taurus G3 magazine fed, like I just said a while ago, 15 round magazine, just like the Glock. The G3 is based off of the Glock, poor man's Glock, just like the Glock 19. Where does this gun stand? The problem with semi-automatics outside of Glocks, because I've never had a problem with an actual Glock, but the problem with the cheaper semi-automatic is it will eventually jam up on you. I have never had a revolver jam. I have had some misfires with some old ammo, but that was something else. That's something else I want to talk about as well. Always make sure that you're using good ammo with any gun that you're firing. And like what happened at Kentucky Ballistics, he was using those. I would stay away from reloads, guys. Stay away from reloaded ammo. Buy it all new in the store. Now, if you're somebody that has high experience in reloading, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who think they might want to get into reloading. I would just continue to buy it from the store. If you're going to have it reloaded, go to somebody that is highly trustworthy and has really good reviews that their ammo is good. But just to be on the safe side, use it straight from the factory, because, yeah, there could be some duds in there. Highly unlikely, though. And if there is duds, then they are responsible for that, and not somebody that reloaded your ammo. So, getting back to what I was saying, the high magazine capacities of semi-automatics is where they really outshine the revolver, where you can get a revolver that's up to 6 or 7 or even 8 rounds. Usually those old 22 trap guns were 8 or 9 shots usually. Going out there, they trap a possum or squirrel or anything like that. Maybe not so many possums, but that's what they were used for. And those 22s were really good for trappers, especially back in the day. Semi-autos, though, such as the one I'm holding right here, where they're also a lot lighter than a revolver would be. This one has a steel slide and has a polymer grip. Everything else on this gun is polymer, so it's like a really higher end plastic, for those of you that don't know what that means. Just like the Glocks, where I would say a lot of semi-automatics are similar to the revolver, is they don't really have a lot of safeties on them. Especially your Glocks are like the Taurus G3. The trigger guard, the only thing that stops this thing from going off is the safety is on the trigger itself, so you'd have to engage this little lever right here, and then you pull that back, and then that would unlock the rest of the trigger to pull back. So a semi-automatic is really for somebody that has more experience, and I'm saying that, I'm not saying it's bad to start off with a semi-automatic. They're great to learn with as well, but try to start off with one. If you're brand new to this, start off with one that has a little bit more safety features behind it, such as a 1911. And I'm not going to get into that because people are going to be like, well, the 1911 doesn't hold a lot of rounds. Well, that's very true. But where I would suggest between these two, to a new gun owner, get a revolver. They're trustworthy. If you're really new to guns, get a single action so that way you can't accidentally discharge it. Well, you can if you have the hammer pulled back, but don't do that. But it's just an extra safety precaution, so that way the hammer pull it back. And there's different levels as well. But the thing about this double action 357 I have right here, it has no half cock on it. So when that hammer is pulled back and locked back, it is ready to fire. So keep that in mind. Every other double action I've handled has been that way. There's no half cock. So as you can see right there, that's where it would normally stop on its own, but if I let it go, it just goes right back up in there. So keep that in mind. This is always an opinionated deal, I guess you could say. Where my preference lies, it depends on what I am doing. What does that mean? Am I going for a walk in the woods, or am I going someplace to where I might need the extra rounds? Which, it could be either or. Because if you're hiking through bear country, which you are, you should probably have a 500 S&W, and nothing as small as this 9mm or a 10mm would do the trick. But I'll save calibers for another video and what they could be used for. I'm going to go through every calibers and video here. It'll be just after the first of the year, actually, that video will be coming out. But what I was going to say is it depends. Really, in most defense situations, and police officers can attest to this, 2 rounds is all that usually it takes to be fired to take care of the threat or whatever you're shooting at. Now, I know a lot of people like going to the gun ranges and they don't like having to reload. Or they don't like having to single-handedly put the rounds into the revolver. Well, there's a good side to that as well, is that they do make speed reloaders. Now, it's not going to be quite as fast as putting the magazine back in semi-auto, but you take it, it'll have 6 rounds, 8 rounds, whatever your revolver is. Now, they are a little bit tricky to use, but you open up your cylinder. They only work on cylinders that open up all the way like it does on this 357 right here. Just like that, open the cylinder up. You would drop in your rounds, and then they're a little bit tricky because everything does have to be lined up, but once you get good at it, it'll be fine. You just got to be careful to get all that lined up. Now, there are some speed reloaders are better than others. I suggest staying away from the super cheap ones. They make ones that are a little bit easier to get like lined up than others. They're going to cost you a little bit more money, but that's where a lot of people are going to say, well, that's where the semi-automatic is really the best, because it has the magazine that can just be slid out, slid right back in. Just like pop that out, pull out another one, put it back in, the slide is back, hit the lever, boom, it's ready to go again. It's reloaded. Now, if you get into the other side of that, though, if your magazines are completely empty and you're having to reload them because you have extra ammo on you, now this is a scenario that very highly unlikely to happen, but you're out and you're having to reload your magazines because you're completely out on that side. That's where the revolver comes back in, and it is actually the better option because all you got to do is take it, open it. even single-handedly loaded, you could have some bullets in your pocket or whatever. Boom, 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 done, ready to go. And that's the end of that. What is the answer to the all-time question? Is a revolver or semi-automatic better? Well, it depends on what you're doing. And it depends on, well, what you're doing. It really just depends on your preference, what you intend to use it for, and if you need to reload quickly, if you need to do this, do that, if you're going to go hiking up in the Colorado mountains, if you're going to go hiking at all, if you think that you may be camping somewhere to where there could be a threat of like mountain lions. But again, it just comes down to what are you going to use it for. So I'll ask you guys, and you can comment down below, revolver or semi-automatic? And if so, what are your reasons why you prefer the revolver or you prefer the semi-automatic? Now, I'll say it like this. What caliber of each one of these do you prefer, and why do you prefer it? So there's two questions in that. What caliber do you prefer? If you do prefer the semi-automatic, is it a 9mm? Is it a 10mm? Is it a 380? 380 and 9mm, the same thing. What caliber in that do you prefer if you prefer the semi-automatic? Now, if you prefer the revolver, what caliber do you prefer in that? Do you prefer 22? Do you prefer 357? 9mm? They make a 9mm revolver, guys. A 45 long Colt. Which one do you prefer? Or do you prefer both, and you think that the argument is kind of just ridiculous, and to each their own? Because that's really what I think.
In the world of firearms, there are few that command as much awe and respect as the 50 caliber Browning machine gun or the 50 caliber BMG. This is a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of power and precision, a testament to the ingenuity of human engineering. The 50 caliber BMG is not just a gun, it's a titan. Its origins trace back to the early 20th century, designed towards the end of World War I by John Browning, a name that resonates with prestige in the gun world. The initial purpose? Anti-aircraft use. But the reputation of the 50 caliber BMG has transcended its original intent, making its mark in various military, recreational, and competitive scenarios. At the heart of this gun's prowess is its cartridge, the .50 BMG. This cartridge, measuring approximately 5.5 inches in length, houses a bullet that typically weighs between 600 and 800 grains. That's roughly 40 to 55 grams, for those of you who prefer the metric system. The bullet travels at a speed that can exceed 2,800 feet per second. That's faster than the speed of sound, delivering a level of energy that's well into the 15,000 foot-pounds range. The 50 caliber BMG rifles themselves vary in design, from single shot to magazine fed, from bolt action to semi-automatic. Each brings its own unique set of advantages to the table, but they all share the same foundation: the raw, unrivaled power of the .50 BMG cartridge. This power comes with a price tag, of course. Prices for a 50 caliber BMG rifle can start in the $3,000 range and can go well into the tens of thousands for high-end custom-built models. Now, it would be remiss not to mention some alternatives to the 50 caliber BMG. For those who crave a similar level of power, but in a more compact package, there's the .338 Lapua Magnum. It's a popular choice for long-range shooting and has a reputation for accuracy. Then there's the .416 Barrett, a relative newcomer in the world of large-caliber rifles, but already making waves with its impressive performance. In conclusion, the 50 caliber BMG stands tall in the world of firearms. Its power, its precision, its historical significance all contribute to its legendary status. It's a symbol of human ingenuity, a testament to our ability to harness and manipulate the forces of nature. It's more than just a gun, it's a titan. Whether you're a military operative, a competitive shooter, or a recreational enthusiast, the 50 caliber BMG demands respect and delivers performance. Let it be known that this titan among firearms, the 50 caliber BMG, with its powerful cartridge, diverse range of applications, and impressive lineage, is a force to be reckoned with. Its power and prestige are undeniable. And while it may not be for everyone, for those who can handle it, the 50 caliber BMG offers an experience like no other.
Firearms, a symbol of power and protection, have shaped our history and continue to influence our future. These tools of defense, sport, and sometimes destruction have been pivotal in the making of our world as we know it. They've been the deciding factor in wars, the silent guardians in the hands of law enforcement, and the mark of skill and precision in the realm of sport shooting. In the annals of history, firearms have played a variety of roles. They've been the silent witnesses to treaties and the loud heralds of revolutions. They've been the tools of explorers, soldiers, and pioneers, carving out new paths and defending established ones. In the hands of law enforcement, firearms have served as the line between order and chaos, providing the means to enforce the law and protect the innocent. But firearms are not just tools of power and force. They also play a significant role in sport and recreation. From the precision of target shooting to the thrill of hunting, firearms have provided a means of competition, skill development, and leisure activity for millions of people around the world. In the next few minutes, we'll delve into the world of the 10 most popular firearms, each with its own story to tell. These range from the iconic Colt single-action army, known as the gun that won the West, to the sleek and modern Glock 17, a favorite among law enforcement agencies worldwide. We'll explore the rugged AK-47, the firearm of choice for many military units, to the precision-engineered Remington 700, a staple among hunters and sport shooters. Each firearm has its own strengths and weaknesses, its own niche in the world of shooting. They're defined by their design, their function, their history, and most importantly, their users. As fascinating as their history may be, the real intrigue lies in their design, function, and the unique features that distinguish one from another. So without further ado, let's venture into this intriguing world and explore these marvels of engineering and design. Each firearm, a marvel of engineering, has unique features that set it apart. Let's start our exploration with the first three on our list. The Colt M1911, a timeless classic, stands as a testament to the brilliance of firearm engineering. Designed for reliability and durability, it's no wonder this semi-automatic pistol served as the standard-issue sidearm for the United States Armed Forces for more than 7 decades. The M1911's main selling point is its robustness and reliability, but its hefty weight might be a con for some. The price point is moderate, making it a solid choice for those seeking a reliable, time-tested firearm. Next up, we have the Glock 17, a modern marvel in the world of handguns. This firearm is designed for versatility and ease of use, making it a popular choice among law enforcement worldwide. The Glock 17 offers high capacity and accuracy, with the added benefit of being lightweight. However, some might find its lack of a traditional manual safety a drawback. When it comes to price, it's on the higher end of the spectrum, reflecting its advanced design and features. Lastly, let's consider the Remington 870, the go-to shotgun for many enthusiasts. This firearm is made for robust performance and versatility, handling everything from hunting to home defense. The Remington 870 is known for its reliability and ease of use, but its recoil might be a bit much for some. With a moderate price point, it offers excellent value for those in need of a versatile shotgun. As we delve deeper, we find that each firearm carries its own unique charm and functionality, a testament to the ingenuity of their creators. The power of a firearm is just half the story, precision completes the tale. As we delve further into our list, we'll be exploring 3 more firearms, each with their unique balance of power and precision. First up, we have the iconic bolt-action rifle. Known for its accuracy, this rifle has been a favorite of hunters and marksmen for generations. Its bolt-action mechanism allows for precise shots, making it ideal for long-range engagements. However, its slower rate of fire compared to semi-automatic firearms could be a potential downside. As for the price point, these rifles tend to fall on the more expensive side due to their precision manufacturing. Next, let's turn our attention to the semi-automatic pistol. Compact, reliable, and designed for close to mid-range engagements, these pistols offer a balance of power and precision that's hard to match. They're often used by law enforcement and for personal defense. While they may lack the long-range capabilities of a rifle, their ease of use and affordability make them a popular choice. Lastly, we've got the pump-action shotgun. Renowned for its power, this firearm delivers a devastating impact at close range. But don't let its power fool you. With a steady hand and a keen eye, it can be surprisingly precise. It's a favored choice for home defense due to its stopping power. However, its limited range and slower rate of fire compared to semi-automatics can be seen as drawbacks. Price-wise, it's generally more affordable than precision rifles, but more expensive than most pistols. So there you have it, 3 firearms, each with their own unique balance of power and precision. From the long-range accuracy of the bolt-action rifle to the close-quarters effectiveness of the pump-action shotgun and the versatile semi-automatic pistol sitting comfortably in the middle. While power and precision are important, the true measure of a firearm is often found in its reliability and ease of use. A firearm, in the hands of its user, tells an unspoken dialogue of trust and reliability. Let's move on to the next firearm in our list, the Remington 870 Express Tactical. This is a shotgun that's been designed with the user's safety and comfort in mind. It comes with a synthetic stock and forend, providing a sturdy and reliable grip even in the most challenging conditions. A key advantage of this firearm is its versatility. It's equally at home in the hunting field or at a shooting range. The downside? Well, it's not the lightest shotgun on the market, which may be a factor for some users. As for the price, you'll be looking at around $600. Next up, we have the Glock 19. This compact pistol is renowned for its reliability and ease of use. It's a favorite among law enforcement and civilians alike, due to its manageable recoil and consistent performance. The Glock 19 is also known for its durability, often performing flawlessly even in hostile environments. The flip side? Some users find its grip not as ergonomic as other options. In terms of price, the Glock 19 typically retails for around $500. Lastly, let's talk about the Ruger 10/22. This semi-automatic rifle is a popular choice for beginners and experienced shooters alike. Its key strengths include its accuracy, ease of handling, and the fact that it's incredibly fun to shoot. However, it's not the most powerful rifle, so it may not be the best choice for big game hunting. The Ruger 10/22 is priced at around $300, making it an affordable option for many. As we examine these firearms, we see a reflection of their users' needs, preferences, and the circumstances they are designed to navigate. In the world of firearms, each piece plays its part in the symphony of firepower. Our final act in this performance is a firearm that epitomizes versatility, the iconic AR-15. With its modular design and wide range of accessories, it truly is a firearm for all seasons. It can be configured for everything from home defense to competition shooting, making it a popular choice among enthusiasts. That said, the AR-15 isn't without its cons. Its complexity can be daunting for beginners, and its reputation has made it a subject of controversy. In terms of cost, a basic AR-15 can set you back anywhere from $800 to $1,000, but the price can skyrocket with customizations. And so, we've reached the finale of our exploration. We've journeyed through the world of firearms, from the compact Glock 19, a reliable sidearm with a reputation for dependability, to the elegant Remington 700, a precision rifle favored by hunters and marksmen alike. We've examined the rugged AK-47, a symbol of resistance and revolution, and the classic 1911, a testament to the enduring power of good design. Each firearm we've discussed today offers a unique blend of power, precision, and functionality. They come with their own sets of strengths and weaknesses, and their prices reflect their features and the craftsmanship that goes into making them. But beyond their physical attributes, these firearms also tell a story. They bear witness to the evolving needs and aspirations of those who use them. They embody the spirit of innovation and the quest for perfection that drives the world of firearms. From the tiniest derringer to the most powerful rifle, each firearm holds a unique place in the world, reflecting not just the evolution of technology, but also the changing needs and ideals of its users.
Mistakes I see people make with their magazine-fed firearms. They're clearing, they're going through, their productive state. And then they do this because they see the moves. They drop their magazine on the ground, and then they put another one that they have on the belt. And then they drop that magazine on the ground, and then they put in another one they have. The problem with this in a real survival type situation is, what are you going to reload? Because you should have some extra ammo on you. What are you going to reload with? And a lot of people don't think about this, and they see it in movies and they think it's cool. You should never drop your magazines on the ground for multiple reasons. One of them being that you're probably not going to get them back if it's an insane situation. And if you're having to do a lot of moving around, you're not going to remember exactly where you dropped them. And out there, if you've ever dropped anything, especially with most magazines being a darker color, or they're going to drop into some leaves, you're not going to be able to see them. If you're in a heavily wooded area especially, and there's no sunlight, nothing's going to reflect off of it, so you're not going to be able to see that if you have to come back and get your magazine later. Another reason is that you could extremely, you can cause damage to the magazines themselves. You can step on them, bend them, or then you don't have any more magazines. And I'm talking about the types of situations to where you're not going to be able to buy any more magazines either. Out there trading is one thing. Oh yeah, I tore one up, I can always go buy another one. And that is fine for training. But I personally believe that you should be training the way, for every situation, the way that it will occur. That way it's muscle memory. And a good way to do this is to take your magazines, and instead of dropping them on the ground, and everybody loves dropping them on the ground, and a lot of people also think, well, if I don't drop it on the ground, if I'm trying to put it back on my belt, there's actually another way to do this. And this is why you should always have your shirt tucked in. Take your empty mag, drop it down your shirt, and then it'll fall and it'll stay right there. If you're wearing the proper type of gear and loadout and everything is on you right, it won't fall through your pants or anything. Now, the other thing that I hear a lot is like, well, they do it in the movies. Yeah, they do, but those are movies, and they're not having to worry about a real life or death situation to where they're going to have to go out and get their magazines and reload them. Some people are like, well, all the ammo I got is inside of my magazines anyway, so it doesn't matter if I save them. I say that's wrong as well. Again, all this stuff, you got to take everything said in these videos, like the one I'm making right now, as an opinionated deal. But also, having learned this from people who've been in real situations, in military situations, and law enforcement situations, it all comes down to, they train this way because it's the best way to help them survive, and that is the way that it should be for you. When you're training, you should be training for your survival, so you should be training similar to how they do. Now, you're not going to be able to train exactly like they do because you don't have the resources, and you probably don't have the unlimited amounts of ammo that they have to train with, and you don't have all the stress and pressure of people yelling at you and putting you through your paces to force that muscle memory. But you can still develop muscle memory as you go, and it's real easy. And if a really good way to practice is that if you're going to take your firearm, you're going to drop the magazine, let it fall, catch it in your hand, and if you don't like the idea of sticking it down your shirt, if you have a jacket or something on that has pockets, throw it in there. But for those of you guys out there who've never been under severe stress, and it's one thing to train all this stuff, this stuff is hard to do if you don't have it down to muscle memory. And I keep saying that, but a lot of people don't understand exactly how stressful it's going to be. A lot of people out there think that they are going to go into a situation, and if they had to use a firearm for defense, that they'll be able to do it. If somebody's shooting at them, they'll be able to stay perfectly calm and hit it because they hit targets at the gun range. Two completely different deals. If you go out there and you're hitting paper targets, that's one thing. But there's a reason that in the event of a active shooter situation or any other type of situation at places, 80% of people automatically freeze because their mind stops working because they have not been trained in how to do that. And the people who don't freeze, their reaction is just telling them to run because that's all they can really do. That's all they're thinking about is run. But if you're in a situation where you have to fight, and more than most likely, if we get to that point, you will have to fight. So you have to really be thinking about that and what is practical to you. And that's why small things, which end up being big things, such as dropping your magazines on the ground, in the long run is going to cost you so much. And I'll hit on this again. Even if you don't have the ammo to reload them, somebody else in your group might have ammo to reload that firearm, or you may get some ammo from somewhere else, even in those types of situations. So it's so important to hold those magazines. And even if you don't, you can use those magazines and use parts of them to make other things, or there are uses for everything if you know what you're doing. This video was to just describe to you guys that something as simple as dropping a magazine on the ground, just like what I demonstrated in this video, could make the difference between life and death in the long run. May not be that day, but if you run out of magazines, then you're just out of luck anyway, because you don't have the defense of a firearm at that point. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with General Exploration and Discovery. Until next time, guys, take care, stay strapped, God bless. 300 Win Mag, stainless steel barrel right here. A lot of people have problems with stainless steel. They don't like it. They fire a lot of rounds and tends to melt down for some reason. People have a lot of problems with the barrels melting down, which doesn't really make much sense to me, but I've seen a lot of videos on it. I've heard people talk about it, and they just don't like how the stainless steel barrel goes over time. The inside of it gets warped. Just not something they like. But that Vortex scope, this is the Savage 300 Win Mag and the camouflage Velvet Bass Pro. But this Vortex scope on it right here is one of the premier scopes that I've ever had the privilege of using. When I went in to buy this gun, I went in with the sole purpose of to buy a gun to go bear hunting. And everybody's like, well, 30-06 will do it. Yeah, 30-06 will do it, but I wanted something a little different. I like varying calibers just a little bit there. Even though a lot of people will tell you that you aren't supposed to vary calibers, it's better to have a lot of rifles and things and calibers that are the same, so that way you interchange, and even the same types of guns, so that way you can interchange parts if you need to over time. What I say to that is, having a variety is a good thing. There's so many things out there that you can hunt and go into the shooting range, and you may decide that you want to go out and hunt something else at one time. That's why it's always good to have a shotgun, a rifle, pistols, depending on what you're doing and everything. On the 300 Win Mag, though, highly suggest you guys check them out at Bass Pro. Cost a pretty penny, $900 for this one right here. It's magazine fed, holds 3 rounds, kicks like a mule. It does kick pretty hard, guys, I will say that. You just got to be really careful whoever you're going to shoot it. And for those of you guys that don't know, Bass Pro will actually take your scope and sight it in for you. Now, it won't be exact, but they'll get it so close that all you have to do is tweak it a little bit, and you can tell them the yardage you want. I actually ended up having them do 300 yards on this one. He said, yeah, I can do 500 yards, 1,000 yards. I'm like, and in the Ozark Mountains, you're getting out pretty far, even at 300. I mean, you're getting way out there. I would not want to carry this gun around all day long. It is extremely heavy, just like what I said in the beginning of this video. That stainless steel makes it so much heavier than say your average rifle that isn't stainless steel. But I would say for hunting elk, for hunting bear, it'd be really ideal. It's not a 500 Smith & Wesson. That was actually the gun that he tried to sell me initially. He was like, well, let's drop a bear. I was like, even though I want a 500 Smith & Wesson, for those of you guys that don't know what that is a 50 caliber pistol 6-shot revolver that Smith & Wesson makes, and that thing does kick like a mule, and you better have a firm grip on that. And most people can't handle shooting those because they have all kinds of kick to them and power, and people that buy the stub nose ones just amaze me because not a lot of barrel for that to come out of them, and the barrel's only that long, and you're talking about a 50 caliber. I mean, you're talking about a lot of bang. Took this one out to the gun range. I'll give them credit at Bass Pro, guys. It was quite the deal that they got it so close that I only had to tweak it just a little bit. It was just pulling a little bit to the right for me. Word of advice I got for you guys: don't ever let anybody else sight in your guns. It's okay if you buy one from Bass Pro and they do it up there and then you can tweak it. But if you don't know how to sight in your guns, learn the proper way how to, and we'll also have a video on that in the future. Learn the proper way how to, though, because if you do not know how to sight it in yourself, a good example of that is, I'm 5'11". If somebody's 6'3", they're seeing completely different than I am. I know that sounds weird, but those of you guys who may be new to the firearm world, the height and everything makes a difference. The way you shoot makes a difference. And there's different ways to shoot. People have a little bit different styles. Yeah, typically you look like you're holding them the same and everything. But if you have like longer arms, if your body's a little different, if you might have an injury to where you're kind of twisted like one way or the other, yeah, you do shoot a little bit differently. So keep that in mind, and always be sure to sight in your own guns. And it's okay to take them to a gunsmith stuff and have them work on them, but I suggest that you guys also learn how to sight in and repair your own guns, because the day may come to where nobody will be able to do it for you and you have to do it all on your own. Just better to know how to do it all, and guns are going to be an important thing for hunting food and everything. Future is just going to be, if you had to go out in the woods and survive, you're going to have to go out and be able to hunt for food. Some areas you may be able to grow your own crops and everything, but around here, solid rock, pretty much. Our gardens do all right, but there's no way that we could grow it around here, especially with the winter time, which we're in the middle of right now. It just happens to be a warmer day. It's 55 degrees out here. But just be sure that you know how to do basic things, taking care of any tool that you're using when you're going out to survival, any type of survival situation. If you go out there in the woods, you just make sure. I will recommend this. Stainless steel is great. Say that it rained a lot and you were out there in the middle of nowhere, the mountains, the forest, whatever, wherever you may be. Stainless steel would be great because that barrel will not rust. Well, I'll take that back. It will rust if it gets corroded and stuff in just the right way. A lot of people think stainless steel will not rust. I've seen stainless steel rust. It takes a lot for it to it, and as long as you keep it clean, it'll last you for a long time. Just be sure though that if you're going out hunting again, or if you're going to the gun range, if you're gonna be firing off a lot of rounds, just be careful with that stainless steel barrel. A lot of people have had problems with them. Stay tuned for a special message at the end of this video. Hello everyone, Jared here, JNR Exploration Discovery, and in today's video, or should I say tonight's video, I'm going to be talking about 45 ACP and a Sig Sauer 380 and how they compare and what my thoughts are in here, the pros and cons of each one of them, and which one I think makes the better defense gun and which one I think would make the best gun for a beginner. So with that being said, here's today's video. Charles Daly Field Grade 45 ACP Sig Sauer P365 380. I'm going to start off with the Sig Sauer here. Great little gun. The problem that most people encounter when they're talking Sig Sauer is that they feel like the price point's too high on these. But I prefer Sig over Glock. So it's one of those things that it's a preference deal, really. But to me, Sig Sauer is smoother than Glock. However, the reliability of it isn't quite as good as Glock. I wouldn't put it up there quite as good because you do have to take extra time to clean these. Where with a Glock isn't going to malfunction as much or anything. So just keep that in mind when you go. I bought this gun for about $500 back when I bought it. What I really like about this gun is it has a decent amount of weight to it. For those of you guys that don't know, a 380 is just a 9mm, but it's a shorter bullet. It actually costs more. So the ammo is going to be the other issue with the Sig Sauer 380 here, because those 380 rounds are going to cost you a lot more as compared with the 45 ACP. These are actually going to cost you more than these, depending on the brands that you buy and everything. But if I've priced both of these brands, and the Sig Sauer 380 rounds, which I said that it's not actually like a Sig Sauer brand of bullets or anything, but the 380 bullets actually cost just as much, if not more, than the 45 ACP bullets. So just keep that in mind whenever you're thinking. Let's talk about this 45 ACP real quick though too, while I'm on that subject. The problem with the 1911 45 ACPs, and it's a problem that a lot of people talk about, the magazine capacities aren't high enough, and I tend to agree. It only has an 8-round magazine. You can get up to a 10-round. This one right here actually holds 10 rounds. The Sig Sauer I have over here in my hand is actually a 10-round capacity, where this one's only an 8-round. Now you can take this one up to 10, but you can take this one up to even more if you need it. And a lot of people are thinking, well, you don't need that many rounds anyway, because most self-defense situations are solved in 2 rounds or less. Well, that is very true. However, though, if you go out to the gun range and you want to shoot a lot, who wants to be reloading all the time, and who wants to have that problem on their hands? There's a big con to Sig Sauer as well. Most people, this gun right here does come with 2 magazines with it. The problem is that to buy the extra magazines for this gun, they cost a lot. They're $50 a piece. That's the cheapest I've been able to find them on there. And I prefer buying them exactly like what they say on here. But as you can see right there, 10 rounds. And the other problem I found with these magazines is they tend to rust for some reason. I don't know why that is exactly, but they're $50 a piece. And I ended up buying extra ones, obviously, for going to the range and everything. But I do love something about this gun now, is when you go to the gun range, your guns tend to get hot. I've never had a problem with this, and I've shot 4 or 5 mags continuously through it. I've never had a super problem with the barrel getting too hot or anything. And that's the other thing, is that the top up here has a lot. It's a very heavy coating of steel on the side. It's a polymer frame, steel slide though on top. That steel slide is extremely heavy. It actually is one of the heaviest steel slides I've ever seen. This gun actually weighs, it doesn't weigh as much as the 45 ACP. This gun here actually weighs almost 4 pounds. This one isn't quite as heavy as this, but compared wise, this gun right here doesn't have any kick to it hardly at all, because again, it's just a shortened 9mm. That's all a 380 is. 45 ACP, on the other hand, this gun doesn't kick either, because it does weigh so much. You have to keep that in mind as well. But for those of you who've never seen a 45 bullet, or they actually look like, there it is right there on top. Got this one loaded with hollow points right there. And for those of you guys that don't know what a hollow point is, you know how those bullets come to a tip at the top. Hollow points are just what they say. These are what you call a self-defense round, because they expand and they're not going to go through anything that you're shooting at, but they're going to expand it and mushroom out, so you don't end up hitting anything except for what you're shooting at. As compared with the 380 over here, though, I'll show you guys. See, just like those bullets right there, That's your standardized bullet. These are target rounds I got in here, the 380. So I prefer carrying in it because it is my range gun. I do use it a lot at range. I don't carry it concealed a lot because it is so heavy. It's just something that is a good point to make, is that the 380, that is another very bad point behind it, is the fact that it is so heavy. So you got to keep that in mind as well. And the problem with this is this is a 5-inch barrel on a 45 ACP. So keep that in mind as well, that you are getting a lot of gun here. This would be like carrying a Glock 17. It's that long. Of course, the Glock 17 would be even better because it doesn't have all the weight to it. And people ask me all the time, like, well, what difference does the weight really make? Believe me, if you had to tote this thing around all day, you would get sick of it on your belt. And if you're working security or as a police officer or anything, and you're carrying a gun, of course, you would be carrying this on your belt anyway, because police officers carry Glocks for the most part. But if you're working security and this was your weapon of choice to carry, patrolling around the lots and everything, it gets very heavy very quickly. I've carried this gun on security jobs before, and it gets heavy and it gets annoying, especially when you got a belt that has pepper spray and has a taser on it and has all other kinds of things on it, just like what a cop's duty belt was. Altogether, the belt weighs about 18 pounds altogether by the time it gets done, just with a standardized Glock on it. So this right here, adding that extra 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds there is really going to make a huge difference. That's all I've really got to say on these particular two. I would suggest, if you have the money to spend, go out and buy yourself a SIG. But speaking of that, and that's why this gun right here cost almost $500. This one costed a little bit over $500 actually. Thinking back on it, this one came out to be about $520. This one was just under like $496 whenever I bought it. Charles Dailies have gone up. Something I really like about these Charles Dailies, though, is the fact that they are that field grade. They're really easy to strip down. They're really easy to clean. Little bit tricky at first to get that slide to go back on there just perfectly straight. But the SIG Sears, I've never had any problems out of this. Cleaned it. I've never had it jam or anything. I keep it clean. Try to keep all my guns clean. Just keep that in mind too, guys. A firearm is only as handy as keeping it clean. It's just like on your vehicle. If you're not keeping them maintenance, they are going to break a lot more. They're not going to last as long. Just keep that in mind. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with JNR Exploration and Discovery. Something else I want to talk about real quick, guys, in this video here, K-Bar knives. We're going to be giving away 3 of these once we hit 10,000 subscribers. All you got to do to be able to win one of these is be subscribed to our channel, and we're going to be putting a keyword in each video that we make in certain videos to be sure that you're watching all of our videos. And we're going to pick a day, we're going to go live, and all you're going to have to do is be subscribed to our channel and have those 5 keywords. The first 3 people to give us all 5 of those keywords in that live chat when we ask for them are going to each win a K-Bar knife, a K-Bar mini, just like the one I have right here. But don't fret, guys, if you guys aren't one of the first 3 people to give us the 5 keywords, be watching our videos anyway and give us those keywords on that day whenever we ask for them in that live video, because we'll be giving away some other cool prizes as well, and even some smaller package bundles, some of our gear for our channel and everything, such as some of these hats and some of our t-shirts and our jackets and some other merchandise that we're coming out with. The AR-15 rifle. But before we dive into too many of the details of this old girl right here, I'm going to give you some of the history behind this fine rifle. It was created in the 1950s by Eugene Stoner, and ever since then it's become one of the most popular rifles among gun enthusiasts and people all over the world. People who shoot for sport and people that just go out and have a good time, and people even use these for hunting. One of the things that make these rifles so popular is all the things that you can do to them, all the attachments that you can add on to them. You can add on a forearm grip, just like what I have right here. I added these iron sights onto it. The iron sights did not come on this AR-15. Some of them do, some of them don't. It just depends on how much money that you want to spend. I added a green dot onto it. This is something that you'll have to add if you want some aftermarket sights, even if it comes with iron sights. standard, they either come with 1 or 2 magazines, but you can always buy some aftermarket magazines if you want more than 1 or 2 that it comes with. The rails I added on there, which can add in a lot more attachments, such as flashlights, such as lasers. And that is one of the things that make this rifle so popular across the entire world, is the fact that people love being able to add on anything that they want to it. If you look at that top rail right there, it just runs all the way up the rifle. You can put on anything you want. Now, there is such a thing as adding too much to your AR-15 or any of your rifles. I'm not a big fan of adding too much to one. I mean, if you get the things I would suggest that you add on to your AR-15, a flashlight, a good sight, a green dot or a red dot. And if you don't know if a green dot or a red dot is going to be good for your eyes, because everybody's eyes are different. My eyes don't respond real well to a red dot, so I went with a green dot. So just keep that in mind if you're adding on the aftermarket parts to your AR-15 or any of the other rifles. Getting back into the AR-15 now, though, the AR-15 is chambered in a 223 and 5.56. The 223 rounds used to be cheaper, but for some reason now, everywhere I go, the 223 rounds, the 223 rounds are more expensive than the 5.56. The 5.56 NATO rounds are way more mass-produced, so they're actually way cheaper. It depends on if you're buying target ammo or if you're buying higher grade rounds, and there are so many different types of rounds. And just be cautious, though, if you're going to buy reloads. I suggest, if you're really new to this as well, do not buy reloads, because they can malfunction. They can blow up in your hand if they weren't reloaded correctly, or just be duds, and then you just wasted all of your money. So just keep that in mind as well. Time to get hands-on with the AR-15. The AR-15 rifle operates on a gas piston system, which helps with its reliability and reduces the recoil of the rifle itself. It has a semi-automatic firing mode, meaning that you pull the trigger once and a round goes off. You pull the trigger again and a round goes off. Now, there are automatic versions of this rifle. However, in order to buy an automatic anything, fully automatic, you have to go through an extensive background check. You got to go through a background check no matter which gun that you're buying. They all require a background check. But in order to buy a fully auto, you have to go through an extensive background check. It's got to be approved by the ATF. It's got to be approved by everything. And you're looking anywhere from 6 months to a year just to get approved to be able to buy that rifle. And then there's a tax stamp that goes with it. And if you don't have that tax stamp with that rifle, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle, so to speak. That's why I tend to stick to semi-auto. Way cheaper. You don't have to worry about all the excess paperwork of having to get those automatic rifles. And not only that, but you have to spend so much more money, and those tax stamps are not cheap. And then there's all kinds of other fees and stuff associated. And then even after everything's said and done, you still may not get approved. So just keep that in mind if you're somebody out there who's thinking about, like, if you're a gun collector and you want to add a fully auto to your collection, I mean, go for it if you want to, but it does take a lot more paperwork. That being said, though, safety is paramount when it comes to firearms in general. Safety is number one. The AR-15 features a manual safety switch right here. See it right there. Flip the switch to semi-auto or on safe. A catch, a selector, and a bolt catch and release, ensuring the safety and handling and operation of a firearm. This rifle has all of that. All AR-15s do. There is several modes of safety on them. The AR-15, its accuracy, reliability is what makes it so sought after. Something on the reliability side of this, though. AR-15s are so picky if they get just a little bit dirty. So if you're going to buy one, you've got to keep it clean or it will malfunction. It will malfunction so easily, and there's a lot of things to be adjusted on some of these. You have to be careful when adjusting that. If you don't know how to do it yourself, go to a gunsmith and have them adjust it for you. One of the coolest aspects of the AR-15 is its versatility, and you can attach a wide array of accessories. I said that earlier, but I want to hit on it again. It is one of the best things about an AR-15 is everything that you add to it, you can do anything you want. Now, weight does become a factor with that. That's why I had to circle back around to this. Weight becomes such a big factor with that. And I have a single point sling on mine. Just makes it way easier to carry. But weight becomes such a factor with anything. That 300 Win Mag that I did a video on as well is extremely heavy. I wouldn't want to carry it either. The single point sling does make it easier, but you got to think about that as you're adding accessories onto your AR-15 though. You just got to keep adding more and more weight, because when I added that green dot, which doesn't weigh very much, but I added all the other rails and those iron sights and the forearm grip, it just kept getting heavier and heavier. So to conclude in today's video, whether you're a seasoned shooter or a novice that's looking to getting into shooting, or just for recreational, or if you do it for sport professionally, if you go to the Olympics and shoot, AR-15s are a great rifle to grab. I would suggest that you don't go super cheap, because if you go too cheap, they do have a tendency to malfunction even more. And you can go to people who are certified and have all the proper permits, paperwork. They can actually build you a custom AR-15 or really any rifle or handgun to your specs of what you could possibly want. Now, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. I mean, the cheapest custom built AR-15s I've seen right about $3,000, and that's for just kind of a basic model. That's about all I got to say about the AR-15. Thanks for joining us today here at JNR Exploration Discovery, guys. Hope you guys are doing well out there. If you guys have any questions concerning this or anything else, and if you guys haven't seen some of my other videos, I'm starting to talk about a lot more about what's kind of going on in the world, kind of how stuff. I'm getting way more videos put out now on bug out bags and prepping and survivalist stuff, and just being able to get out there. So if you guys haven't seen those videos, be sure to check out our channel. If you guys have not subscribed to our channel yet, be sure to do that and hit that like button and hit the notification bell, so that way you don't miss any of our uploads. There's several videos. I'm going to have a video coming out every day now for the next 6 days. They are already made and they're already set to come out, so be sure that you're looking for those. Some of them are premieres, so you can go on there and see what they're going to be about. And from all of us here at JNR Expression Discovery, God bless each and every one of you. Oh, hi there. Jared here with JNR Exploration Discovery. Today, I'm going to be going over some gun safety tips for you guys, for your benefit, to help you guys stay safe and to keep everyone else around you safe. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Number one, always assume every firearm that is handed to you or that you pick up is loaded. And if somebody else clears it and hands it to you and tells you that it's unloaded, check it yourself to fully make sure that it's unloaded. Do not ever take anybody's word for it. I don't care if they were your best friend for 25 years and you trust them with your life. In this case, you very well are. Always make sure that a firearm is unloaded. Number one. Number two, make sure your firearms are stored properly. If they are not stored properly in a safe and secure spot, kids can get a hold of them and all kinds of accidents can happen. Make sure that you're keeping everybody safe. And if you have to put the trigger locks on them to where a kid, even if they get a hold of it, cannot discharge it. But for your protection personally at your house, I recommend that you keep it stored in a safe that you can just put your thumbprint on, dial pad, but that way your child cannot open it, and that way everybody stays safe and everybody stays happy. Number 3, always use the proper protective gear. Always have proper hearing protection and proper eyewear. I don't know how many times people tell me, well, I don't need no glasses, da-da-da. Shortly after that, somebody's using a semi-auto. It ends up ejecting the shells right into their eyes. Ends up hitting them in the face, hits them in the eye, and that just isn't good. Always use proper hearing and eye protection. There's all kinds of hearing protection. These earmuffs I have right here are personally my favorites, but you can use all kinds. They make the little orange plugs. They make plugs that twist into your ear to make them way more secure. I have all kinds. These are my preferred. You can pick these up for about $10. These are my prescription sunglasses, so I wear these. But you guys can pick up a standard pair of safety glasses for a couple bucks, and you're good to go. Protects your eyes, and you just got to protect your hearing as well. Eyes and hearing, guys. These are your two most sensitive parts when you're shooting. Number 4, if you're brand new to this and you do not have the first idea of what you're doing, slow down. If there's somebody at the range there, or somebody who works at the range that you're going to, and they offer to help you, if you're completely lost or confused about any of the rules on the range, ask them. They are there to help you and assist you, and they would much rather you ask than violate the rule, and then you get banned from the range completely, or worse, you end up hurting somebody or yourself, and nobody wants that. Always ask if you're in doubt of anything. And this goes for, too, if you're going to buy a new firearm. If you've never owned a gun before, feel free to ask all the questions you want, guys. There are no stupid questions in this category. The only dumb questions are the ones that don't get asked. If something ends up happening, and that ends up just costing everybody in the long run. So ask questions. You're not a dummy for asking. You're a dummy if you don't. Number 5, and this is kind of a personal deal for me. It's the terminology that we use whenever we go. And if you don't know what you're talking about, again, this is something that goes in and ask. And this is something that you guys will learn as you go. This is a magazine, not a clip. A clip is something that you put on a bag of chips. This is a magazine. Some people say, well, back in my day, we called it this. No, you didn't. Unless if you were around in the 40s with the M1 Grands. This is a magazine. Everything, unless if you buy an old M1 Garand or anything like that, these are magazines. That's what they're called. That's what they'll always be called. Magazines. I know it sounds like I'm kind of getting personal about this one. I am, because this is one that everybody calls these clips, and it drives people who are experts on this, or not even experts, but people who just know basic knowledge. If you call this a clip, or if you go into a gun store and call this a clip, if it's an individual gun store, then they may take advantage of you if you're going to buy things just by using the term clip. So use the term magazine. Don't know what you're talking about if you say clip. I'm just saying, if you're trying to talk deals, if you go to a pawn shop and try to talk like, well, does that come with a clip? No. Or they could be a smart aleck to you, and they may say, well, yeah, we got a clip, we'll bring it up, and then they show you the piece for the M1 Garand, that is the actual clip, and you're like, well, that's not what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, it's not? Is this what you're talking about? This is called a magazine. That's the way they would be, guys, and I'm just saying, I've seen this happen to people. I've been in gun stores before, and they act that way, so always know basic terminology and learn it as fast as you can. I'm not saying that you have to know everything like right off the bat, but just basic terms really help. I've seen this firsthand. Just basic things like calling this a magazine because it's a magazine and not a clip. Make sure that the firearm you are purchasing is for you, because you don't want to end up going to prison because you bought a gun for somebody that couldn't. Somebody with a criminal record, and I don't care how much they boo-hoo to you guys. Do not do this. It is not worth it. fines are outrageous. You face, I think it's 5 to 10 years in prison just for committing that crime. It's the same penalty that you face if you buy cigarettes or tobacco found buying that stuff for a minor, or alcohol for a minor. Just don't do it. It is not worth it. Which leads me into this next thing. Purchase the firearm for you that you feel comfortable with. And if you don't know, find somebody that you know who owns something that you think you might be comfortable with. Go shooting with them, and then they will tell you if they sorry, I lost that for a second. Anyway, they will help you along with it, people who already own firearms, and you can feel if it's a good fit for you, and you will know. It's the same way if you're driving a car, like, oh, I like the way this car drives. Or on a motorcycle, like, yeah, this thing fits me. Or like, oh, this I've got short legs, this isn't really a deal. There is a gun out there for everybody that fits you. And obviously, that's going to be different. And feel's one of them, and the way they shoot. For example, not a lot of people are going to be able to handle a big round. And there are rounds that are ridiculous for if you're carrying anyway for protection, like the 10 millimeter. I mean, that thing would, a 9 suffices. 9 millimeter, just like this one right here, suffices just fine for what you need. And the other thing I want to mention in here, though, there are places out there that you can rent the guns from and go shoot them. There's a place called Guns-FireArms. It's over here in Ozark, if you people are in Missouri. You can rent the guns from them, use their gun range. You rent the gun from them, you buy the ammo from them. You can shoot anything you want. They have every caliber, every kind, everything. So go up there, check them out. Guns-FireArms. They are not sponsored in this video, by the way. But if they wanted to, that'd be great. But up there in Ozark, between Ozark and Springfield, Guns-FireArms, guys, check them out if you guys are in Missouri and the Branson area and you're doing that, and if you're into this type of thing, or if you think that you might want to be in there, is anything like that around where you guys live, check them out, though. Guns-FireArms, fantastic place to go, fantastic place to go shoot. With that being said, that was number 6. Next one in this fine video, don't ever point a gun at somebody unless if your life is in severe danger and you intend to use it. I cannot stress that enough. Unless if your life is in danger and it's self-defense, do not ever point a gun at another human being. Cannot stress that enough. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, I don't care if it's unloaded, you still don't flag anybody. You do not do it. I don't care if you're in a gun store looking at somebody, does not matter. Or something, I should say, not somebody, something. But don't point that something at somebody, because the worst thing that you can do is possibly flag somebody, and then let's say it doesn't bother them, then let's say if they notice it, that is a threatening motion. If you are taking your gun, or even if it isn't yours, if you're looking at a store and you're just looking at it, there's nobody on the other side of me. I'm not sure you guys are that right now. And this is clear. But the worst thing you could possibly do inside of a gun store is, yeah, well, I think I like this. I just don't know. I mean, my friend had that cool Glock, and I don't know how this measures up to his. And then they start waving it all around and gunning all frisky and everything. And just to show you guys, this is all my property right here. It's nothing but forest for way down there. And this thing is completely unloaded, as you can see there in the chamber. Just to show you guys. Don't ever point a gun at somebody unless if you plan on using it. cannot stress that enough. Showed you guys this video is being made very safely. I always plan this out. Don't ever, that's the other thing. If you guys are out hunting, if you're new to hunting, do not, I repeat, do not shoot at moving bushes. I'm from Louisiana, and there was people down there years ago when I was a young kid down there. A lady saw some bushes moving, and she shot a 14-year-old boy who was out there deer hunting because she seen the bushes moving. She fired. Do not do this. It is very bad practice. Do not, I would say this too, do not point your gun at anything until you see what you're going to be aiming at. You do not know what you're going to be aiming at until you can get a clear visual on it. Oh, there's Bigfoot over there in the woods. Do you know that? Do you see him? Are you sure? Are we sure what's behind Bigfoot? Because I'm just saying, guys, be safe. Do not take anything lightly when it comes to any of this stuff. Do not. Okay, guys, so to end this video, let's go over some key points in this. We went over not pointing your gun at anybody. We went over having proper hearing and eye protection. We went over having firearms that is proper for you, one that fits nicely in your hand, one that you're really comfortable with. We went over not aiming your gun at anything until you're for sure of what you're aiming at, even if you're out hunting. And those were the key points in this video. One more time, I'm going to give a shout out to Cherokee Firearms. Again, they did not sponsor this video. Fantastic place though. Every type of firearm that you could want, go up there, rent it from them, buy the ammo from them, shoot it. If you want to shoot a 50 cal, if you want to just shoot a little 380 or 22, if you don't have anything and you're just testing the waters to see, Cherokee Firearms up there between Springfield and Ozark. They're technically in Springfield. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with JNR Exploration and Discovery. We're going to be talking about the G3 9mm. That's right, the poor man's Glock, as I like to call it. So that being said, let's talk about this and how it compares to an actual Glock 17 or a Glock 19, because this is what this is based off of. Here's today's video. How does the Taurus G3 9mm compare to the Glock 19? This is a clone of the Glock 19. This is exactly the same specs. The weight is very similar to a Glock 19. It's the same length, similar all specs. Big differences. The parts on the inside are not as good. This thing will jam on you and malfunction. I've had it jam up on me one time. I haven't put a lot of rounds. I probably put about 500 rounds through this gun. Cleaned it though. Haven't had it jammed since then. It jammed within the first 100 rounds, and I recommend that to anybody that's buying a new firearm anyway. If you go put about a 50 or 100 rounds through it, just make sure everything's good, especially if it's a Kimber, guys. So always remember that. Glock 19 comes with a standardized 15-round magazine. The G3-9 comes with a 15-round magazine. And for those of you who aren't familiar, the Glock 17 is the same gun pretty much as the Glock 19, just a little bit longer. So it would be the Glock version of the G3 Taurus, just a little bit longer, 17-round magazine. But for those of you guys that didn't know on the Glock 17 magazines will actually fit a Glock 19, but a Glock 19's magazines will not fit a Glock 17's mags. So just keep that in mind. I do not recommend the Taurus G3 to anybody that is a new firearm owner. Why? It's the same reason as the Glock 19. Yes, the Glock 19 is a great weapon. They don't jam, they don't malfunction very often, but they have the same thing. The safety on them is on the trigger itself. And to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, if you're going to be a first-time gun owner, do not recommend that, because if you're a first-time gun owner, especially somebody that's never shot before, you don't have that muscle memory and that control of keeping your finger off the trigger, and that's an important thing to remember. always keep your finger off the trigger. Nothing drives me more insane than anybody that will not keep their finger off the trigger, or they hand you a gun in a store like Bass Pro or something and you're flagging the crowd even though it's empty, putting your finger on the trigger, which I never did understand that either, because they have the trigger guards bolted on there when you're looking at them in store. So I don't really understand that. Well, most firearms have the trigger guards mounted on in the store. Not all of them. Some firearms, like your revolvers, don't, and some of the pistols don't. But you guys get my point on that and everything. So that is my biggest deal about this. It's not ideal for a first-time gun owner because the only safety on it is on the trigger itself, and people get careless if they're a first-time gun owner at the range or anything, and they forget, and it's the natural instinct to put your finger on the trigger. So buy something that will help you learn that, or don't load it until you teach yourself to keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. The other big thing behind the G3 Taurus 9mm compared to the Glock 19 is the price point, though. So if you are somebody that's looking to add something to your collection, this is half the price of a Glock 19. But again, it tends to malfunction more because, in my experience, Glock 19s or Glocks in general don't really have those malfunction problems. I've heard of a few of them, but they're very, very rare. Like Tommy Lee Jones says in U.S. Marshals to Robert Downey Jr.'s character, these Glocks are cool. You can pour sand in them, they'll shoot. You can shoot them underwater. There's nothing how much that a Glock could do. That being said, how would I rate the Taurus G3 overall? I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Why? Because it's not beginner ideal. It's made with those cheaper parts, and it is a Glock 19 clone that Taurus came out with. So with that being said, it is something that I would recommend to somebody that's just looking to add something to the collection. And I'm going to contradict myself right here. If you're a first-time gun owner and you're wanting something that in the semi-automatic form that's similar and gives you kind of that Glock feel, that is going to be the Taurus G3, and there's some other options out there as well. This is a polymer based out here with the grips and everything, and it's a steel slide. It's very common among Taurus in general. So that being said, God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with General Exploration and Discovery. Until next time, guys. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that's a little bit old school. Double barrels. Old double barrel stagecoach gun. Here's a 20 gauge. Normally they'd have been a 12, but this gun right here, and I'm going to be talking about in this video, are these guns absolute or obsolete? And I know that may sound a little bit weird to some of you guys out there, but basically what that means is, are these guns still practical? So that being said, let's get into today's video. The first thing I'm going to say is that with double barrels such as this one right here, they're not the most practical thing if you need a lot of rounds. Because for those of you that don't know, you know, as in the double barrel stagecoach gun, as you can see right here, it's empty. 2 rounds, that's it. One of the pros to this gun, though, is the fact that you can reload it extra quick, because all you got to do is once you empty both barrels, dump it. And another thing that could be problematic with this gun, or it could be a blessing depending on who you are, is the double set of triggers. You can see right there is a double set of triggers. Pull one and it'll empty one barrel. Pull the other one and it'll empty the other one. Or if you want to be brave, you can discharge both barrels at the same time. And whenever you do that, you better hope that you got a strong shoulder, especially with a 12 gauge or a 10 gauge. If you're only going to shoot it a couple times, it's not so bad. But if you're going to be shooting it a lot, that's kind of where these guns are kind of weak. And by weak, I mean they're too strong in that regard. Because if you go and you're going to be discharging both barrels a lot, or you need something that's going to spread a big pattern, might be a little bit too much kick, especially to somebody out there who isn't familiar with guns or doesn't have a lot of firearm experience. If I was going to get a shotgun, though, this would be one of the ones I'd look into. A double barrel. They're very basic. There's not a lot of them that can break. And they're usually more expensive than other types of shotguns, such as your pump actions. The only thing that's less expensive, well, the only thing that's more expensive is if you get into really high brands. I mean, not less expensive, more expensive. You can buy a 12 gauge Stagecoach gun or 410 or 20 gauge. You can buy any of them at Bass Pro. They're going to run you about $400 brand new. And the ones I actually prefer is not like these right here, though, if you can find them. It's actually the ones that have the hammers on them. And for those of you that don't know what a hammer is, it's like on a pistol, old 6 gun, like the Cowboys use. Pull back, cock it would be the hammer. Some of them have a hammer for each barrel up here, so you could pull that back and then just pull one trigger. And if you pull them both back, you pull one trigger and both barrels would discharge. So are these guns obsolete? I would say yes and no. That's just a matter of preference, though, and opinion. I would say that they still have a practicality use. They're really good if you're going out bird hunting, because you can't have over 3 rounds in your gun anyway. So what is 1 round less, really, if you think about it, if you know what you're doing? But the con is that if you're going to be using it for self-defense, home weapon, again, you can do that as well, because it's only 2 shots. But then again, the shotgun is going to spread. And if you're inside your house, 2 shots should be enough, especially if you know where the intruder is. So it's very... This gun can go either way. I know it's one of those deals where it sounds like I'm being wishy-washy on it, and it's really something. Yes, it's impractical in some senses, but in other senses, it's still very practical, depending on what you're wanting to do with it and what your preference is and what you're needing a particular firearm for. And that's the truth about anything with firearms. What fits one may not fit the other. It's not going to fit somebody. It's just like with anything. It's like with cars. Some people can drive Mustangs. Me, I drive a pickup because I'm out in the middle of the country and going down things. If I drove a sports car, I'd tear the bottom out for anything by the end of the day. It's just the way it is. I mean, and everything's a preference. And with that being said, just to conclude this video on this subject, I highly recommend that if you don't own a double barrel, you pick one up. If you do own one, let me know down in the comments which ones, in your experience, that you've had. You don't have to tell me which ones you own, but let us know which ones you prefer out of all the ones you shot and why. And there's other deals too. For those of you guys that don't know, the last thing I'm going to say on this is the gauge. Is, like I said, there's a 20 gauge. For those of you out there that don't know what a gauge actually means on a gun, the higher the gauge, the smaller the barrel size. So this one would actually be smaller than a 12 gauge. And then a 410 is actually really small. It's a 67.5 gauge. It's why it's called a 410, because you imagine walking around and saying, oh shit, 67.5 gauge. Doesn't sound too bad, but at the same time, it sounds kind of wonky. That being said, God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with JNR Exploration and Discovery. And until next time, guys, take care. What's up, guys? Jared here with JNR Exploration and Discovery. And today, I'm going to be doing a review on something that somebody asked me about. I do not remember your name. Please forgive me for that. Commented on one of our shorts videos and asked me if I would do a review on the Remington 7400 30-06. So that's what today's video is going to be about. Hope you guys are doing well. With that being said, let's get into today's video. I'm going to start off this video by something that I usually don't do a lot of negative reviews on things, so I think it's good. But the magazine that feeds into this Remington 7400 30-06 model is what I would call a piece of junk. It's the ones that come out of the factory with. I'm not a big fan of these types of magazines. They're very thin. They're very brittle. The top of these can be bent very easily. If I was pushing them with my fingers right now, if this was down just a little bit, I could crush that in, and it would be, you could always bend it back out. But it's just something that I'm not too fond of, is very lightweight things like this for these types of firearms. I also get a lot of questions about these types of things. The strap on this is a backpack strap. As you can see, it's just like a backpack. It's got straps. You can put it on and wear it just like a backpack. And by the way, it was at Walmart for about 20 bucks. I wouldn't recommend that strap really to anybody, because whenever you have the firearm on your back, it just becomes it's not very fun. But again, this is the Remington model 7400 30-06. Somebody asked me to do this video. Again, I apologize because I do not remember your name. It was on one of our shorts videos. And he said that he had the same style, and he asked me to do a video on this, so that's what I'm doing. One of my favorite rifles, I wouldn't hesitate to take this thing bear hunting. I'm not a big fan of going bear hunting with 30-06 rifles. It's not something, except with a little bit more knockdown. I know they can take down bears fairly easily, but I like something with a little bit more knockdown power behind it. But I'm here to talk about this rifle. There's not much to say. It's magazine fed. This one's semi-auto, which I prefer the semi-auto versions. They make a couple different versions of this particular model right here. There's pump action, and there's semi-autos. And there's even some single shots out there if you can find them, but they're very, very rare to come across in a 30-06 branding. This rifle right here, I would say, on a scale of 10, I'd give it about a 7. Because nothing's perfect. One of my biggest deals behind this is, and this is true for all firearms, I keep if I have to say this, but knowing some of the people I know, these magazines are so easy to overload. I do not recommend sticking over 2 rounds in these little magazines. Something I've noticed about this rifle is getting some age on it, though. It's starting to jam up a lot. That's something else. I try to take the best care that I can of my firearms, oiling them, cleaning them, stripping them down, and doing things like that. But this firearm right here just happens to be like one of those that kind of becomes a problem child. I just oiled it up the other day, and it seemed like it stopped jamming quite as much, but that's still an issue with these particular types of rifles, especially as they get age on them. I don't know about you guys out there, if you guys have had any problems along with these doing the same thing. If you have, comment down below. That being said, one of the pros of this gun is its lightweightness. I will say that I do enjoy that about this. This is a extremely lightweight rifle for one that has its size. A lot of the modern day ones are way heavier, but that blued steel on it is also something else that I really like. This one's kind of faded out over time. Most of them you can find it. This is the Next Star Scope, or NC Star 3.9x4. This is actually a pretty neat scope on this rifle, as far as this actually came stock on this rifle back when we bought it, and you can't hardly find those anymore with these. But the crosshairs on this one actually light up, so actually the crosshairs will actually start glowing if it's too dark outside for you to see. So if you're in the woods hunting deer in your early morning hours, be good to have one of these scopes on the top of your rifle. This one right here, actually, the battery is actually dead in it, so I don't really use that for that though. I get out there just as the sun's coming up, so there's plenty of daylight, and by the time deer come my way, they're usually been out for quite a while. There's not much to say. I know this was an extremely short video, and I know what you're thinking, well, he's editing this already. Well, I'm not editing this just yet. I do have to say one more thing. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for watching our videos. If you have any input on this particular rifle, I think people should or should not buy them, comment down below. For those of you guys who haven't seen our Biloxi Beach video, go ahead and go over there and watch that one. If you can answer that question, then we're giving away some of these hats as prizes and everything. And I've got some school I need to pay for, so I do truly appreciate everybody that watches this. Your support means everything to us here at J&R Exploration and Discovery. And on behalf of myself, I just truly want to say thank you to everyone out there who's been watching our videos. If you're new to our channel, we are an exploration channel. Travel quite a bit. If you haven't seen the Miniac Swamp Alligator Tour video yet, get out there and watch that on our channel. I took the video on Halloween whenever I was in the swamp over there on an alligator tour. It is the most haunted swamp in Louisiana. We also do some paranormal videos here. We're kind of odd in that aspect of things. And we kind of do everything in between. We don't really have a niche. Our niche is pretty much anything that we want to do. So, with that being said, God bless each and every one of you. Also, I'm going to have a GoFundMe up for something here real soon to actually hopefully help me pay for school. This channel is not monetized. I just hope you guys are doing extremely well out there. I know money's hard to come by. But if you could give that, that'd be great. And give you guys some shout outs and some videos and give you guys some of our merch and everything. And hopefully we'll have that merch store set up here very soon. I know this video is very short and a lot of it I'm just spewing stuff now, but there's not much to say about these Remington 30-06 rifles, especially the 7400 model. Great rifle. At the end of the day, you do you. I recommend if you're gonna buy a rifle, or buy any gun, go and try to shoot one first. If a friend of yours has one, or Cherokee Firearms, or any range that'll let you rent one to shoot it, see if you like it. With that being said, I'm done rambling now. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with J&R Exploration and Discovery. Until next time, guys, take care. Subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. So the first shotgun I'm going to walk you guys through in this video is the single shot. And the reason it is a single shot, the reason I called it that, because, well, it is a single shot. It can only hold one round at a time. See that? One round at a time. This, to me, is really ideal if you want a shotgun for your kid. You really want to start out with something that's going to be real comfortable to them and everything. These little single shots, like this little 20 gauge I have right here, would be really ideal for them, or if they're going to get into bird hunting. A little bit like lighter weight than a double barrel or a pump action. Way less to these. This particular one here is a Hatfield 20 gauge from Walmart. You can buy this gun. You used to be able to buy this gun for about 79 bucks. Now they're about $129 in Walmart. Still a great buy though. A little bit on the heavier side. I would definitely suggest if you're going to buy this for a kid, you go and you look and have your kid hold it for themselves to make sure that they're going to like it. That solid wood construction definitely makes it a little bit more on the heavier side. So just keep that in mind if you're going to go a single shot for your kid's first ever shotgun or any gun that they're ever going to have here. The next one on this list is going to be the double barrel. This double barrel right here is a very, very old gun. I would suggest that you get something a little bit newer. This one's been in my family for a long, long time. And as the name would suggest, it is a double barrel. Hence why we call these double barrels, guys. Pretty self-explanatory, I know, but I gotta say that for all of our new gun enthusiasts out there, or people who are looking. This is something I would recommend more for somebody who maybe want to go bird hunting. I know a lot of you guys out there are going to say, well, they should be pump action if you're going bird hunting. Before the pump action existed, double barrels were a great deal. It's fitted with a double set of triggers. You can see it right there. Each barrel, you pull one barrel go off, you pull the other one. If you wanted to discharge both barrels at the same time, you'd pull back on both triggers at the same time. That is something. The downside of this is that if you can't handle a lot of kick and you wanted to let both barrels go at the same time, this is not something that I would suggest that you guys get for your first one. If you're a person, a bigger guy like me, or girl who can really handle their kick, you might look into something like this. I'm a really big fan of the Greeners. For those of you that don't know what those are, they're kind of an English-made rifle, or shotgun, I should say, not rifle. But they are. If you guys have ever seen the movie Big Jake with John Wayne, and he tells Sam, pick up another shotgun, a Greener if possible. Greener is a brand. A lot of people think Greener just means a double barrel shotgun. A Greener is an actual brand. They're a higher end shotgun. Back in the days, only the wealthy could afford them. They are very expensive now. I have some friends who have Greeners. I do not personally own one. I will someday though. I know that for a fact because I love those things with a passion, and they're kind of like the Kimber. And for those of you who don't know, Kimber is a stainless steel pistol, and they make a lot of 1911s. They make other things, but almost all of their 1911s, or all of the 1911s I've ever seen, like made by Kimber, they're all stainless steel, and they're the rich man's show gun. Greeners, though, I think of shotguns like, even if they have a lot of artwork on them, take them out, shoot them, shoot skeets, shoot whatever you want. But this is a shotgun, getting back on track now, this is a shotgun that I would suggest for anybody who can handle a bit more kick. Again, this one's a 20 gauge. If you're going to get a double barrel and you are kind of iffy about the kick, if you don't have a way to shoot one, and that's my next point, there are places out there like Cherokee-FireArms up in Ozark, up there kind of in between Ozark and Springfield up here in Missouri, but there are a few places like that, and they're all over the place. If you know where to look for them, they're an awesome gun store, guys. You go in there, you pay them to rent the firearm from them to shoot it at their range in there, and then you just buy the ammo from them. And they have everything from 22s to 50 cals to everything that you could possibly want to shoot in that place. And they have them, and I believe they'll actually even sell them to you if you're interested in that type of thing. So that could be a good thing too. Like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm here. I want to rent a gun from you guys. And they can walk you through that too. It's like, well, these are the most popular options. This is what people carry. And I know there are a lot of females out there, especially. I'm not picking on you girls. I'm just saying. There are a lot of females out there, especially though, that aren't exactly as comfortable. So something a little smaller for them, like a 380, which is just a 9mm, just a shortened round. But something like that for self-defense, it's basically the same thing. Just not quite as much bang for your buck on that. But I have both, and I would say that a woman would be better off with 380. They make short 9s, they make short 380s. But this is a shotgun video, so I'm going to get back into that. Double barrel, though. Like what I've said, this is a gun I would suggest that if you're going to buy and you're not for sure about the kick and you can't fire one, if there's not a place like Cherokee-FireArms like near you, go out and buy one, but buy a 20 gauge or a 410 that isn't going to kick as hard as the double barrel 12 or those double barrel 10 gauges, which would be considered an elephant gun. And I have seen these. If you go to Bass Pro up here in Springfield, they've got some double barrel 8 gauges in there. For those of you that don't know, the gauge, the smaller the gauge, the bigger the barrel and the bigger the rounds they take. But a 410, I call it a 410 because it's a 67.5 gauge is what it would actually be equivalent to. So they call it a 410. So instead of calling it a 67.5 gauge, how goofy would that be? Call it a 410 just to save a lot of time there. So now that I'm done rambling on this, here's the end of the double barrel, onto the pump action. Shell feed in here. Most of these only take 3 rounds. You've got to put in 2. Then you got to input. Then you got to load one in the chamber, pull down the pump, that little switch right there, and then pull it back up, and it'd be right there in the chamber. And I'll tell you guys this sound right here, that sound alone has scared away more home burglars than anything. I can guarantee you that. You could be a little 4'10" girl, it'd be completely dark in your home, and the burglars in there, and they hear that. They are going to run as fast as they can and get out of there, or they're going to hit the ground and be begging you, please don't type stuff. So pump actions, these are the most popular type of shotguns in the modern day. This is a Stevens pump action, just like the Hatfield I was showing you guys earlier. You can get this gun at Walmart for $180. So really the single shot Hatfield isn't much cheaper. If you guys were going to get a shotgun for a first one, I would recommend a pump action though. That's why I saved this one for last. To anybody that's unfor sure, this is the one. I'm not saying that you have to buy a pump action, but this is the one that I would recommend somebody start with if they aren't for sure about the shotguns, and again, they can't go shoot one, like what I said on the double barrel. Pump actions. This is the one I would recommend. This is one of my favorites. I know I said earlier that the double barrel was used for bird hunting. It's good for bird hunting, and it is. Pump actions are good as well. But the thing behind the bird hunting laws is you can only have 3 rounds at a time in your gun. So even if you have one that holds 7 or 8 rounds, you're defeating the purpose of it because you're having to keep it down to 3. So you're only getting 1 more round. And to me, depends on who you are, the double barrel has a lot faster of a reload. This though, a little bit easier to carry, and you can put slings on there. But as you can see on this one, I've got all my double buck shells. I like using this particular gun for going out and deer hunting in some states. Some states, if you go deer hunting in them, you can't use a rifle because the ground is so flat that the bullet will not stop. And I know this video is supposed to be about shotguns, and some of you are probably thinking like, well, he's kind of jumping all over the place. And I am, but I just wanted to make sure I'm trying to tell you guys things that I think about years ago. If only somebody had told me this, or things that I wondered about, or things I didn't know. So I'm just trying to keep you guys informed. So yeah, there are some states, guys, if you are going to get a gun and try to go hunting in another state, I've got to turn this into a hunter safety video. I know, I don't know why I have a tendency to do this, but if you're going to go hunting in another state, I know for a fact Illinois is a bad state about this because it's so flat, and places like Wyoming and stuff though. If you're going to go out there and hunt and it's on a plain, chances are you're going to have to use a shotgun because the slugs will not go as far as the rifle bullet. And after they make contact, they just slow down a lot more than trying to go right through something. So that being said, here's your pump action. Let me know down in the comments which of these 3 you guys think you would prefer, or if you guys own a bunch of shotguns already and you want to buy a new one, which one you would prefer, the single shot, the pump, the double action. To me personally, I know I said I would recommend this to a beginner, and this would be a good first one to do. I would buy a double barrel. I got that old cowboy thing burned through my blood. I just kind of have that deal, that old classic Western deal. It's not about tacticality or practicality. It's just about that old classic Western deal of the double barrel and them too many John Wayne movies. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with JNR Exploration and Discovery. Hey guys, what's going on? Jared here with JNR Outdoors. Today I want to talk to you guys about some of the pros and cons of the Rossi double single action revolver, just like I have in my hand right here, guys. This is the gun I will be doing the review on, or guns similar to this. So got 5 pros and 5 cons for you, but before I get into that, I wanted to say one thing about this. For those of you guys out there that don't know, or girls who don't know, who may be watching this video that don't know what a double single action is, that's where you can fire it either in single action mode. You can pull the hammer back and fire it, or you can just squeeze the trigger, very similar to a semi-auto, and it will pull the trigger back for you. So double action, single action, every time. And with that being said, guys, let's get into some of the pros and cons. 5 cons and 5 pros. So I'm going to start off with the cons here, guys. So number 1, limited availability. Depending on your location, you might not be able to find this particular gun or a gun like this, depending on your location and where you live. Number 2 is the weight. This revolver is a lot heavier than other revolvers that are like it, but I kind of tend to like that. Compensates for the recoil. This is a 38 special, so really compensates for that recoil. But a 38 special doesn't kick that hard anyway, but it really does help. Kind of like a 45 ACP being heavier. Number 3 on a cons list is that heavy trigger reset, because you can pull that trigger and then it's a long time before you get that trigger to reset. So that is one thing to remember about these revolvers, is that that trigger takes a long time to reset. The number 4 con on this gun is the aftermarket parts, but I never did understand why you want aftermarket parts on a revolver anyway, but that is the number 4 con that I found with these, is that there's not a lot of aftermarket parts for them, but there's also not a lot of things you can do with these in the aftermarket world of firearms here. And number 5 is the limited capacity. The most revolvers for you guys out there who don't know anything about firearms only hold 6 rounds or less, and a lot of them end up being 5 rounds and everything. So they do make some that hold 7, 8, even 9 rounds. Those are usually 22s that hold like the 9 rounds in their trap guns. But that being said, this compared to like a Glock that holds, like the Glock 17 magazines hold 17 rounds. This only holds 6. You can see kind of the problem there if you need a lot more rounds. And those are the 5 cons of this gun, and I'm going to get into the pros. So, number 1 on the pros, versatility. The double single action offers the flexibility of both single and double action. And like I went over in the beginning of this video, you can fire it in single or double action, which gives you 2 options, whereas a revolver is only single action, or if a revolver is hammerless and is only double action. Gives you the option to fire it either way. Number 2 is reliability. Revolvers overall have a higher reliability over mag-fed semi-autos. They don't jam. They don't have any of those problems. Way less. They're way easier to clean as well. Number 3 is the accuracy. These are highly, highly reliable, and I've found this. I've shot this gun many, many times compared to other ones. It is known for its accuracy, thanks to its well-designed barrel and sights. It has, you guys can see that, has that nice big sight there on the front. And the barrel is heavy as well. And again, going back to the weight of this gun, it really compensates on the recoil side. Number 4 is a smooth trigger pull. It is really smooth, but the con to that is that, again, like I said in the cons earlier, it takes a long time for the trigger reset, but it does have a really smooth trigger pull as far as that goes. Number 5 on the pros. It's suitable for all skill levels. Whether you're a seasoned shooter or a beginner, Rossi, best revolver right here, is ideal for anybody from beginner level to pro. Double, single action, really, really good. Remember, guys, to always be safe when you go shooting. Wear hearing protection and eye protection. Make sure that if you go to a range, that the range is clear. God bless each and every one of you guys. If you guys have any more questions about this or any of my other videos, feel free to comment down below. God bless. Hey guys, Jared here with Jared Outdoors, and today it's lever action time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jared Outdoors. I'm Jared, the J and the JNR. Today we're going to be diving into the world of lever action rifles, taking a closer look at the Marlin 3030. So to start off with here, guys, the Marlin 3030 is a classic lever action rifle that has been a favorite among hunters and shooting enthusiasts for decades. It's known for its reliability, accuracy, and versatility in the field. The lever action mechanism of the Marlin 3030 allows for quick and smooth cycling of rounds, making it ideal for hunting in dense brush or wooded areas. One of the standout features of the Marlin 3030 is its rugged construction. It's built to withstand the demands of the outdoor use and is often praised for its durability. The rifle usually features a solid walnut stock, just like what this one has, and a blued finish. In terms of performance, the Marlin 3030 is known for its effective range and stopping power. It is commonly used for hunting deer and other medium-sized game at moderate distances. The 3030 Winchester cartridge offers a good balance between recoil, making it manageable for most shooters. Just remember, guys, if you're considering purchasing a firearm, it's important to familiarize yourself with the local laws and regulations of your area. And with that being said, that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, or if you're enjoying any of our content at all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to JNR Outdoors. And until next time, God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with JNR Outdoors. Hey everyone, I'm Jared with JNR Outdoors, and today I'm going to give you 20 pros of the Savage Axis 308. With that being said, let's get into today's video. Hey guys, so getting into the pros of the Savage Axis 308. Pro number one, the affordable price point. This gun right here costs us at $500 with the Vortex scope on it. Pick these up at Walmart or any store that fits your deal. Bass Pro, Academy, Dick's Sporting Goods. They're all going to run about the same price after taxes. This one ran about $450. Pro number two, the accurate performance. This gun is highly accurate out of the box. I didn't have to adjust the scope on it hardly at all. It's one of those things that is kind of unusual for me to get a gun straight out of the box that doesn't require much tweaking. I mean, you do have to adjust it some, obviously, because not everybody's the same. I mean, I got a friend who's like 6'1", and I'm about 5'11", and that 2 inches difference, though, it just sets up a completely different shot. Pro number three, the versatile chambering. There is a lot of makes and models of this gun. I know this video is about the 308, but there is a lot of makes and models about this particular gun. The Savage Axis, there's 6.5 Creedmoors, there's a 308, there's 7mm. I'm trying to think of what else. There's a lot of different options. There's the 243. Another pro to this rifle, which will be the fourth one, is it's very, very lightweight. It's so lightweight, in fact, that I was questioning if I should even add a sling to this rifle, because it is so lightweight that I could carry this thing all day long, and I wouldn't. I mean, I've got guitars that weigh twice as much as this thing. I mean, it's really incredible. Of course, that also means that it kicks a little harder, which, with that being said, kind of an extra pro is that nice rubber absorbing pad on the buttstock right there. Really absorbs that impact because this gun is so light. Pro number five, smooth bolt action. And this thing is smooth. Fired about 20 rounds through it so far, and it has really loosened up since then. Really smooth bolt action. Really easy to work. Didn't have any problems with it jamming or anything. Number six, the durable construction. This gun isn't as heavy as 7mm on fire, and I will say, I know this is a pros video, but I will say that a con that I would say is that this barrel, being a lighter weight barrel for this particular model, it heats up a lot faster, because after firing this gun about 5 times, granted it was about 90 degrees outside, but it took it probably a good 15 minutes for this barrel to actually come back down to temperature that I could actually touch it. I mean, it was that hot.
Number 7, the wide availability of aftermarket accessories. And that's what I love about rifles in general, is a lot of them have that. This in particular, I mean, you can do anything that you want with these things. You can add a tripod on the front. I mean, I did the sling on there. I mean, it's just basic stuff. Scopes are a given, but there's so many more aftermarket accessories you can add on to these rifles, guys. Number 8, the user-friendly design for beginners. This gun is very, very practical for a beginner gun. The cheap price point, like I said earlier, and it's very, very easy to use. I mean, bolt actions are straightforward. Vortex scope comes on there, and Vortex is a good scope brand. Safety's right there. I mean, straightforward all the way across the board. I mean, just safety, bolt, scope, boom. Point, aim, shoot, sight, whatever you want to do with it. Number 9, the good range and stopping power. And 308 does have that. Has a good range of stopping power. I take this gun out in the wide open country, or I would use it in the brush. It doesn't really matter to me. I know some of you may be thinking out there, well, the brush, well, for brush, I prefer 30-30. That's okay. That's you. You do you. We can all have different opinions, and that's fine. Number 10, reliable performance in various hunting and shooting scenarios, and that's exactly what I was just talking about. I could take this rifle to a long-range shooting competition tomorrow. I'd be confident in it. I could go hunting grizzly bears with it up in the Colorado or Wyoming or Alaska. I'd be fine with that too. I really wouldn't hesitate taking this rifle. I'd probably want something with a little bit more stopping power for a bear, but that's just me. Number 11, easy to maintain and clean. And this rifle is very easy to maintain and clean, real easy. The bolt comes out super easy too. All you got to do, release the bolt, press down on the little pin right there, pull the trigger, bolt comes right out. Putting it back in, same way. Press down, pull the trigger. You don't have to keep your hand on the trigger, it'll slide right back in just like that. And your bolt's right there, back on the rifle. Super, super easy to do that, to clean it, guys. Number 12, the adjustable trigger. I prefer triggers with a slight heavier pull. I know a lot of people out there don't, and some of you guys may prefer a heavier pull than me, and that's fine too. It's just like on a guitar or something. Real easy to set up that action for you, and that's okay, because what works for you isn't going to work for me. Number 13, the excellent value for the price, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. This gun right here, less than $500, scope, everything straight out of the box. The ammo is about the same price, as just a little bit more expensive than a box of 30 shells. That's to be expected. Number 14 on this list, the reliable feeding and extraction. And I showed you guys that earlier. Those shells ejected, bang, bang, boom. Real easy to eject. Number 15 on this list, compatible with a wide range of ammunition. And it is, for those of you guys that don't know, the NATO rounds also work for this. Kind of wide caliber. And you guys may get confused. If you guys are confused on that, just ask at your store and they will be able to help you guys out with that, especially if you're new to guns in general or new to that platform. Number 16, comfortable and ergonomic stock design. And that's what I was saying earlier. Stock design, lightweight, smooth, comfortable all across the board, padded butt stock, just fantastic for that. Number 17 is the smooth recoil for comfortable shooting. This gun kicks a little bit more than a different variety of the same type of guns, because they make a heavier version of this gun as well. Wouldn't kick as hard, but then you carry around all the extra weight, and this padded stock on this really absorbs a lot of that recoil. Still going to jar you just a little bit, but it's not as bad as like a 338 black loop or anything like that. It's not going to, or a 50 cal, it's not going to blow your shoulder off your body. Number 18, good balance and handling, and this gun does have a lot of good balance and handling, guys. How easy that was. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I know some of these sound like I'm repeating the same thing, but I'm really not. It's just, it's kind of wordy, kind of wonky, or I'm saying the words kind of wonky, kind of like the same thing. Number 19, great for both hunting and target shooting. And that sounds like I'm repeating that from earlier, and I kind of am, but I have to emphasize that the good hunting, these guns are great for hunting and target shooting alike. I know you guys are thinking, well, ammo's getting expensive. Yes, guys, ammo is getting expensive, but you need to practice with what you're going to use for hunting or self-defense or anything that bang along with that. Number 20, trusted brand. Savage is a very trusted brand, guys. If you guys have ever heard of Savage, I recommend you check them out. Very popular gun brand, affordable gun brand. Got a 300 Win Mag and a Savage. That gun is completely stainless steel, and it's heavy. It's got the big bull barrel on it. It's stainless. It's just super nice. But it also costs 2.5 times what this gun does. Whole different breed of animal. Same maker, though. Check them out, guys. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for watching J&R Outdoors, guys. We do appreciate your continued support. We don't just do outdoor videos, so if you guys want to see us do anything, comment down below. If you guys just have any questions about anything, have any questions about the gun that I didn't go over in this video, let us know about that too. We're going to be doing a lot of unique videos in the future. We're going to have some paranormal videos coming away where we're going to check out some places where some really spooky things happen, guys. So, and you're going to be introduced to Ryan. He's the R in the J&R, for those of you who've been like wondering, to give you kind of somewhat of his background. 14-year Navy vet. He deployed to Afghanistan. That's really all you need to know about him. Very interesting guy. I think you'll agree with me after you see him in these videos. God bless each and every one of you. I'm Jared with J&R Outdoors. Until next time, guys, take care.
Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about this, the Smith & Wesson 357 double action revolver. This is a classic little revolver here. It's one that has been around for decades, and it's still one of the best options on the market. I'm going to explain why in just here in a second. First off, let's talk about the build quality of the Smith & Wesson here. This is a heavy-duty steel frame and barrel, which gives it a solid and durable feel and look both. It is a very durable weapon here, guys. It's an attractive gun, has a chic, really old, classic look to it here. Let's talk about the performance of this lovely little weapon next. It's very smooth, but it does have a lot of kick to it, guys. So this is not something that you're going to want if you don't like something that kind of jars you when you shoot, especially for you new shooters out there. But it does have a 4-inch barrel. Depending on what you get, the barrel length can kind of compensate for the gun itself, depending on like what you end up. But again, going back to what I was saying earlier, one thing to note is that this gun does have quite a bit of kick to it. So that's to be expected, especially with this caliber. If you're used to shooting 22s and 9mm, this gun is going to jar you a little bit more than what those guns do. So that's just something to keep in mind, especially if you're a new shooter that doesn't have a lot of shooting experience or have no shooting experience. But overall, I would definitely recommend getting a 357 in single or double action, like what this one is right here. They're very, very reliable. Revolvers are known for that. And it's a classic revolver. It's well built. It performs great and is a solid choice for every variety of shooting. And that is the same reason that police and the military carried these for years. So it is something to keep in mind, guys. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to J&R Outdoors. I'm Jared. I'm the J and the J&R. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about the 1911. This one I have in my hand right here is a 45 ACP. But I just wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons of this particular type of pistol, just like I have in my hands right here. So let's start off with some of the pros for the 1911. So this gun does have a rich history, guys. It is known for its reliability and its accuracy. It is a single action trigger, which provides a crisp break for precise shooting. Plus the 45 ACP, like the one I have right here, packs a really good punch of a round for self-defense or for just target shooting and having a great time with this weapon. It is a very good self-defense option with that being said. Now let's talk about some of the cons here, guys. So the 1911 is a heavy gun. This one I have in my hand right here weighs right at 3 pounds. That is pretty heavy for all of you gun guys out there. Those of you who are looking at buying a gun, I would not recommend buying this particular type. This is a 5-inch barrel. It's a lot longer than most of your average pistols of the same kind of make or quality. It is solid steel though. So anyway, back to the cons on this gun. So it's not ideal for everybody though, guys. Going back to the weight of what I was just talking about, this gun does get pretty heavy if you're carrying it for long periods of time. The other thing about this gun that doesn't, a con about this gun in my mind, is it only has an 8-round magazine. And for those of you who know a lot about capacity and everything, 8 rounds is not that much. I mean, you have Glocks that hold 15, 17 rounds. Some pistols hold 20 rounds in the magazine and everything. And I'm not saying that you necessarily need all those rounds, but those of you out there that know that usually the more rounds you have, the better. So that is one of the drawbacks. The other drawback is in high stress situations. Sorry about that, guys. In high stress situations, you have to rely on the hammer, whereas with a Glock or anything like that, you don't have the hammer to worry about, and it's just another step that you have to worry about trying to get that hammer pulled back if you need to fire it. And the design actually requires more maintenance on these 1911s. Their steel is a lot more upkeep than a polymer frame pistol, because the whole entire gun is steel, guys. I don't know if you can see that right there, but this whole thing is steel. I mean, all the way from the slide, the barrel, all the way down on the handle and the grip right there. So just remember, guys, there are a lot of factors to consider if you're thinking about buying a 1911 45 ACP. If it's right for you, go check them out at your local gun shops or Bass Pro. If you don't know where your local gun shops is, I always recommend Bass Pro. It's a good option. You pay about the same no matter where you go. Stay tuned for more videos, guys. God bless each and every one of you. And don't forget to like and subscribe down below. God bless, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, what's going on? Jared right here today, and I will be doing a review. I know that I'm starting to do a lot more of these firearm reviews here lately, and I am hoping to be able to continue doing these, guys, as I continue to really sort through my collection and really seeing what I got, because I have kind of been going through a lot of these and cleaning them and one if I go good, guys. But today I have my Henry 22 here. Again, it's a Henry 22 lever action all the way across the board, guys. Phenomenal gun. Nothing, as far as a lever action rifle goes, nothing shoots smoother than a Henry in my opinion, guys. I mean, these things are phenomenal. What to do, I use this particular gun for squirrel hunting, for rabbits, for varmints, for various things. But what I love about their lever action models though too is that these are available in so many different calibers. 357, 44, 45. There's 410 lever actions that they make. I mean, they make any caliber that you can imagine in a lever action rifle. Henry makes it, guys. And I have a Henry Golden Boy as well, and I will show you guys that one in a different video. But that gun at Cabela's, the first time I ever went to Cabela's, I saw a gun, loved it. For those of you that don't know what a Golden Boy is, in case you don't see the next video, a Golden Boy is section here. here is all gold. It's a gold plating. Obviously, it's not real. I mean, I wish it was, but Henry makes so many different varieties and rarities. They make so many different types of rifles, guys. I mean, anything you want. I know I already said that, but anything that you want, you can get from Henry. Now, they aren't cheap. I will say that. But you pay for the quality that you get in these guns. Again, super smooth. I mean, it's very basic, just like in the other videos I talk about. All my rifles and pistols and stuff are very basic, because the more basic you can keep them, the less things that can go wrong with them, and it's just better in my opinion. But standard, for those of you guys who don't know or maybe new to rifles, every lever action I've ever dealt with loads right there. Of course, you don't stick the shells in from the top. I mean, you can, but actually on this 22, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but all of them also have this, that slit right there, so they can fall straight down in there. As you can see, that's shaped perfectly for a 22 shell. Be able to feed them down in there. Your rod goes back in the end. Think about it kind of like a black powder. If you guys like know anything about black powders, you're seeing like the rods that's used to be able to push down black powder. But in this case, you can see there too that the rod seals that back off to where your shells don't fall out if you're going like this or anything. But yeah, guys, I know I'm not telling you a whole lot about these guns, but there's really not a lot to tell about these, other than the fact that they're phenomenal weapons. Everything I own, with the exception of a few, I love, from my flintlocks to my hunting rifles to anything in between. I mean, all my self-defense shotguns and pistols, guys. But hope you guys are doing good, and hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I know I'm not giving you a lot of information. If you want me to be more in depth, or if you have any questions, feel free to comment. That way I can answer those for you, because I know that I could try to answer like a bunch of questions in this video, but I want to know what your guys' questions are about anything I might own. I'll be happy to answer those for you. Just comment below, and I'll be able to get to you. And if I don't know, guys, I'm going to tell you I don't know. I don't know everything. I mean, none of us know everything, and but I will be more than glad to help you out or find an answer for you guys. I have friends who are much more knowledgeable than me, but I'm not the least knowledgeable guy though either, guys. So hope you guys are doing good. God bless each and every one of you. I know the world's crazy right now.
Subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Thank you for watching General Exploration and Discovery.